Okay, so what did we think of this week's Coronation Street? Gemma?
I thought that I don't remember what happened properly when Seb was killed.
I know. Well, we'll get to that in a minute because I'm very, very intrigued to know what they're going to do with that next week when the court comes along because... Well, we'll get to it in a bit, but we just rewatched the attack scene, didn't we? So that we are fully informed. We had to talk about it later on.
We don't want to do a podcast about something that we didn't properly watch.
This is a funnier week for Corrie because Monday's episode was absolutely dreadful, wasn't it? All that stuff with Liam's asthma attack and Maria smashing up the van and even
Sally doing a little
dance around the bag. Even the Emma sneaking up and catching Tyrone and Fizz. I don't know, it just didn't particularly get me. And I was thinking, oh, guys, it's going to be one of those weeks, is it? But Wednesday kind of quite pleasantly surprised me. And before tonight's episode, I was thinking, oh, I hope this is going to be another good one as well. Otherwise, I'm going to be like, oh, it started off rubbish, got better, and then ended on a low. But no, I really did quite enjoy tonight's episodes. And very much looking forward to seeing where things go with the trial this week. So that trial is going to be our first story of the week, of course, and we're just going to go full in on it and call it the R. Kelly Seb's abuse trial. And Gemma, for the Maria storyline, I think you're going to like this one because Gemma, what's your favourite Maria-based storyline title we've ever done on the podcast?
Well,
shout out if you know, listeners.
The best one we've ever done. Indisputably, is Luke and the Maria.
That's the worst one that you always remember. The storyline about Luke being able to get his Abbott off with Maria that we called Luke and the Maria.
What do you say? We?
Oh, yeah.
We?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
This story
I
is
had nothing
called...
to do with it. Whenever I see Maria now, I go, Luke and the Maria.
Well, maybe now you'll be able to think Smoke and Maria's.
That's
what this is the last Smoke and Maria's, isn't it? We decided we got Grace Under Fire for the house story with Grace. I don't know. I don't really like. I had a few other options, and you said this was the best out of a bad bunch, didn't you?
I have so many controversial Grace opinions. It's so funny.
I wanted to call
There's something about this woman that I just give the benefit of the doubt at every point, and nobody else likes her but me. And I'm like, yeah, you go, girl. Is
that why you've chosen Grace Under Fire? Because you think that she's been unfairly maligned for her role in the storyline?
Judged so poorly, and all she's doing is trying to extort a house.
Jelly Bradley, because she's well jelly of Debbie at the moment, isn't she?
Yeah.
Rah rah rah, etc etc etc.
What do you think?
We'll get to that rant later.
Oh right.
Pop a ring on her finger is what Alina's happened to her this week. She's engaged now. Got a ring on her finger, innit? And then feeling burnt out. I never thought I'd be able to use a feeling pun as a storyline title again. It has been 4 years now? 3 years? I've lost track.
I'll tell you what. Can I just say something again?
3 years.
Another controversial thing.
What?
Jesus only rose from the dead once.
Yeah.
Feelings for two now.
Is this what he's doing? Is that what you call?
Well, he's coming back. He's being mentioned from beyond the grave.
That is good.
Not very many characters in a show get a shout out. Like, what was it? How many years? 4?
3 years since.
3 years since he died.
He was brutally murdered by Anna Windass.
I know. What a slag.
I know. Although, I don't know whether I mentioned this in the bonus podcast this week, but what was I doing this week? I can't remember, but I saw a picture of Anna Windass online earlier this week, and I was like,
you said this to me.
I kind of miss her a little bit on this show. That's crazy because I started off not minding Anna, and then we got completely fed up of her high and mightiness, didn't we?
Yep.
And then by the end of it, we thought that she's actually great because I'm just enjoying her being the foil to Pat Phelan and being driven insane. But yeah, I kind of miss her presence on the street. Debbie Rush was a great actress.
2 of our most hated female characters were intimately involved in the demise of Pat Phelan. One of them being Anna Windass and the other one being Michelle Connor.
Yeah, I don't want her back. It's all right.
No, she can stay.
I know. I'd say bring her back. Come on, have her
Bring
visit.
Anna back.
Have her visit in Faye or something in her little holiday camp. I mean prison.
Not ask. Did Anna go back to prison?
No. She's living free up north.
She run away.
No, she's fine. She didn't.
She should go back to prison so she can spend some more time with her child.
No, she's been let off, and she's going around being a Pat Phelan murderer. Literally,
It's free.
she ran at him with a knife.
Yeah, I
Once
know.
self-defense. Oh man, I got.
Tell you what happened. They put her shoes in the wrong bag, and nobody could prove it
Yeah, they
was
did.
murder.
Right, anyway, so speaking of feeling burnt out, let's talk about Imran first. He's been up at 5:10 on Monday morning, working hard to try and cobble together some evidence for this trial that he's going to be
I
defending
don't know
R. Kelly
whether
at.
I didn't react appropriately to this because I was eating a Ferrero Rocher. Just FYI, everybody, I do apologise. But R. Kelly substance abuse trial has got to be our worst
Worst? Or best?
most, what's the word, insensitive since Burn Baby Burn.
Which is
And
only
I'm not
2
even
weeks
going to
ago.
tell you what Michael wanted to call this storyline originally when it came out, but now I'm thinking back on it, I don't actually think it was that bad compared to this.
Fine, I'm not going to say it. So he's up early. Laura's in court today. This was a bit odd, wasn't it? We get to hear about Laura. She was going to...
Oh yeah, no, we didn't see Laura, but we knew that she was up in court.
For... What did she do again? I don't know. Being
neglecting her
neglectful
child.
mum, that's right. And he wants to go along and have a bit of a look.
Nose?
Yeah, he wants to have a nose at her, basically. And Sawyer says, look, she's just going to spin the same old sob story that we've heard millions of times before. Don't go along. Go to bed for a kip, Imran. So
How do you feel when characters on the TV show get up at the same time that you do and everyone acts aghast and like it's the most ridiculous
I'm
thing
not
they've heard?
working at 5:10 in the morning. Just a...
I know, but he got up at 5:10.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you do.
Well, it's fine.
And but to be fair, he did do the same thing as you do, which is get up so you can have a nap.
Yeah.
So weird.
Gary's been to Bristol, everybody. He's gone
This
to
was
see
like
Nicola and Zach.
a mini shout out to Nicola, but she definitely got a name check today.
She did. She got 2 name checks this week, didn't she?
Well, no, she didn't get a name check on Monday.
No,
We just knew that she'd been to Bristol. Gary had been to Bristol to see Zach, which is his son with Nicola, but Nicola didn't get mentioned until today because she is Pat Phelan's daughter.
Indeed. So Maria updates him on the case and everything. I can't remember why or how it was brought up or anything, but she says, Imran's working really hard for this because he's flying solo, isn't he? Whereas Corey has got the Brents have employed the finest solicitors in the land. They've got a whole crack team to try and get him off of killing Seb. So Gary's kind of feeling like I need to do something to help here because he is still feeling a bit guilty about the fact that he killed Kelly's dad and nobody knows about it yet apart from Maria. We do later on. Maria catches him with the cash and she's like, oh, you murdered Rick, didn't you? And everybody across the country went, does Maria know this? Who else knows this? I don't remember Sarah knows, but yeah.
Isn't it weird that Gary killed
Rick,
who is Kelly's dad, but he also kind of killed Rana, who is Imran's sister.
Yes.
And both of those characters don't know that they've been wronged by Gary, but they're both trying to fight for the same thing at the moment.
Yeah, it's so funny. I just wish that they'd hurry up and resolve
But
this
don't you
Rick and
think
Gary issue.
it is a bit weird that Imran's got this unfinished business with Gary, but he doesn't really know that he does.
Yeah.
But so does Kelly. Don't you think it just feels like that should be joined up a bit more?
It feels like this should absolutely be joined up, and maybe it's going to be joined up at some point, but they just need to hurry up about it, because literally, who remembered that Maria knew about Gary killing Rick? I didn't remember that. I had to go. It was back in December, apparently. She puts 2 and 2 together after Sarah's caught having a sneaky chat with Gary about it, because she knows about that. Gary knows that Kylie killed Callum and Sarah was involved with that as well. There's an awful lot of murder covering up here. Anna Windass is just laughing because the only person that knows that she killed Pat Phelan is Michelle, and she's bogged off to Ireland or wherever it is.
No, she told the police. Didn't Anna tell the police?
She couldn't have told her exactly what happened.
I thought she got interviewed and they were like, don't worry about it, you get one free.
I don't know. Anyway, Gary's got this wad of cash, this $7,000. He says he's going to give it to Imran.
Can I just
to
say,
pay for whatever he needs?
It sounded like
assuming
you
it's something to do with the Kelly trial.
Seb and grand, but you said $7,000.
$7,000, yes. So we have Sabeen.
Who?
Sabeen. Is she credited as Sabeen Habib? I assume she maybe still is.
The judge in the court case made a
yes,
big
of course.
point of going, Mr. Habib. Miss Habib. Like, all right,
So she hasn't changed her name.
We know. We've got the same surname.
Yeah, so this is Imran's ex-wife, Sabeen, who was last in the show 4 years ago, maybe. She was in like 3 or 4 episodes, played by a different actress. I don't even remember what she was there for. I think it was after Hassan, Imran's dad, died, and she was hanging around trying to get money off him or something, or she wanted a stake in his bit of the bistro that he was selling. I don't know, but if anyone hasn't been watching Corrie for too long, Sabeen is just Imran's ex-wife. He apparently, what's the story? He kissed. Toya mentioned that he cheated on Sabeen, but I thought that the story that had been established up till this point is that he just kissed her when she was out. He kissed one of her mates or something when he was married to her.
Is that okay then? Is that what you're saying?
Just a kiss.
Well,
he's as bad as Tyrone, isn't he?
He said he cheated on her because she was annoying, frosty, and whatever. And I was like, oh, watch out, Toya.
Anyway, so we don't have much of a character for Sabeen so far. We've seen 10 times more Sabeen this week than we had done in the past.
A lot about her character based just on her wardrobe.
She's a barrister, everybody.
She's highly strung. She's got a high-necked, Victorian, frilly, blousy looking. She's very uptight.
Imran's not a barrister, but he's still doing a barrister's job at the moment.
What is he then?
Lawyer.
No, isn't it? Is there
no, a solicitor.
Solicitor.
He's a solicitor.
We don't know.
We've
been told this.
We have been told this many times.
We have no business not knowing.
What we did learn today, thanks to somebody on Twitter, is that English judges don't use gavels.
We already knew this.
I don't think I knew this.
Oh, lies.
Well, I've probably seen
I wondered
lots
why
of
you were
court
showing
cases.
me this so gleefully, but we've had conversations on the podcast about this before.
Have we? On the podcast?
Yes, we have.
Well, in this country, we don't have gavels.
Can you please write in and tell me if you remember us talking on the show before about the fact that in England and Wales, judges don't use gavels.
But in the Coronation Street little identity thing, which was
in the world of
the
all
advert break, they showed in that, a gavel. But there was a Twitter account we saw that had retweeted. What was it called?
No gavels are us or something.
No, I wrote it down. It was called Inappropriate Gavels or something. I think, Inappropriate Gavels. And it's a Twitter account just for showing pictures of gavels appearing on British programmes where they have no right to exist. Anyway.
Can you imagine if your job was like to be a props department person and you had to get an original trial gavel from an English courtroom?
Yeah, doesn't exist, Gov. So, anyway, what does she want?
Is that getting tartan paint from B&Q?
She wants to have a word with Imran, she tells Adam, and she's going to be waiting for him at the bistro. Please send him along later. Maria, meanwhile, is getting mad at Gary still because of him being a murderer and everything, and how dare you spend this £7,000 on Kelly. No, he's
walking around with £7,000.
This is supposed to be for us. And also, she says, look, you still got a foot in the past. I thought that the past was behind you. I'd forgiven you for being a murderer. Self-defense
It's like,
killer.
I need that cash, Gary, so I can smash some cars
I need £7,000 so I can save the world. Just
£7,000 will mean I can whack the crap out of 7 diesel vans.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you imagine her doing one of those adverts? Just £7,000 donation would help me to use a crowbar on all the horrible vans in Coronation Street.
Yeah, cool now.
Underworld, Preston's Petals, the Rovers Return. They're all polluting the air, and my poor son can't breathe. And then we cut to Liam Collins Jr. And then we cut to Jack going, oh
my God, Jack, what was he like?
Excuse me, I think your son's choking to death.
Look, we're not on that story.
We're not on that yet.
We're not on that
down.
story. So Gary goes delivering his money around later, and Imran's been told by Adam. He shoves it through the solicitor's door.
Anonymously.
Yes. Imran is told by Adam to go and get Sabeen. Imran's also talking about this blood splatter report thing, which is all very Dexter, wasn't it?
Don't worry about it.
No, I know. So all this. What a waste of £7,000. We could have saved the planet. He doesn't.
It is very Dexterish, but I thought that blood splatter had been sort of disproven as a fake pseudoscience.
What is it? Yeah.
I thought there was a load of drama about it at the time because if you ever watched Dexter, you'd believe that you can literally go into a room and look at where things have splattered and gone, oh, I know exactly what happened here. But actually, it's not as cut and dried as that.
No. Well, Imran says if we get a blood spatter expert to look at the blood on Kelly's shoes, then that'll prove that she didn't kick 7 bells out of Seb like the other man.
I mean, honestly, yeah, I think anybody could look at a pair of shoes and say, if there's, like, blood smeared on it and, like, bits of brain and hair, probably gave him a good kicking. But if there's just, like, little droplets, perhaps not.
Yeah, no, you need an expert for this. So we
had this big discussion in the car, didn't we? Where I was going, how would this come up in a court? I don't, like, does the evidence have to have an expert attached to it, or does the evidence speak for itself? But then you can't interrogate evidence. You can only call witnesses.
You can't ask a shoe.
But this is what I mean. I didn't really think about a court case like this before, but it really just does it just rely on you asking people? Like, evidence can't be admitted and analysed by or can it? I've never really probably watched a trial.
No, I've got no idea.
Because, like, can't Imran anyway just go, look with your eyes, what do you think?
You'd have thought so.
But I don't know. I don't know. But then again, you see, the problem with it, surely, is that the police have this as evidence, and they would say it doesn't show that at all, because they believe that she did it, otherwise they would never have put her through in the Crown prosecution to be up for this. So then I'm going to look at the evidence and go, oh yeah, I guess maybe it could be.
Not a police that they need to convince us, it's a jury. I don't
understand. I think
know.
that is the moral of the story. And I don't think that a lot of the people that wrote for Coronation Street do either.
Doesn't matter.
But, yeah, that's the moral of the story. Doesn't matter.
Imran goes to the bistro and he finds Sabeen there. And he says, I didn't really want to see you. He had his head in his hands earlier when he heard that she'd showed up. But he said, actually, I could do with your advice. And she's like, nope, that would be a conflict of interest, actually, because I'm representing Corey.
What?
And she's a massive ice queen towards him. And she's like schmoozing and she's oozing confidence and she's very smarmy. And
this seems like...
I don't know, I can't even remember what she wanted to see him for, but it ends with a see you in court, sucker.
I know, oh man.
I don't know whether it had been previously established that Sabeen was a barrister before this, or whether it was made up for this story.
I thought we knew that she was.
I don't know, I've got no idea. But in any case, I quite like it. As conflict of interesty as it is.
To say, see you in court, for like, how long has Imran been in the show now? 4 years? 5 years? She's been waiting that long to get her revenge.
You'd have thought that, their paths may have crossed at some point before.
Why?
Well, because they're both, legal eagles.
I know, but the thing is, though, she probably specialises in, like, kicking people to death cases, whereas Imran seems to specialise in, give me money, I'll do what you want cases. I don't think it's normal for a solicitor to do literally any sort of, like, property, divorce.
Well, Adam has already washed his hands of this case, hasn't he? He's like, it's not really my speciality. Wait and see.
I do pregnancy tests on the top of bins.
I want to know, like, how the curry writers decide whether this is going to be an Imran case or is it going to be an Adam case.
Well, it's got to be an Imran case because
this had to be an Imran case, obviously. Anyway, Imran gets to the office at the end of the episode and he finds this wad of moolah in an envelope and
he's like, where did this come from?
Because he's got his bundle of post, doesn't he? And he kind of dumps it on this desk.
Yeah.
And then he sees it and it says for Kelly on. He opens it up and it's got there's all this bundle of £20 notes in. And he's like, what? He kind of looks around like he's been visited by the money fairy or something.
Or like Jeremy Vidal's going to come back to the grave. We got you.
It wasn't. Like, he literally picked this up from the front door.
Yeah.
Why would there be somebody in there to say, you got the money I left you? Crazy. Anyway, good.
I have
to
say,
Imran.
Monday's episodes had weird vibe.
Monday's episodes was not well done in many ways.
I don't know what the problem was. I've seen.
Was it the script? Was it the editing? Was it the direction? Was it the acting?
No,
of course
I don't know.
I don't know what it was. A whole melange.
I think it was the directing.
It felt very odd directing.
I felt like it
was
very ambitious, the directing, and I don't know that the scenes, like there was a really kind of, it could have been quite iconic, didn't Mondays involve at one point Maria walking down the middle of the road with a crowbar? Like, that could have been super iconic if it wasn't for the fact that she was literally like Captain Planet on steroids, but also on crack.
I love Captain Planet. Right, Wednesday, Imran's been out for a walk. Toya's like, you all right? Because seems to be something on your mind. She's a little bit worried about Sabeen being around, obviously, the ex sniffing about, and he says, look, you've got nothing to worry about there.
I can't remember when this was, but there was a bit where she's like, oh, do you see Sabeen? She's so pretty. And Imran's like, you're pretty too. And she's like, oh, okay, then I don't mind her being around.
They told each other they loved each other today, didn't they? That was very sweet. To do like a nice declaration of love on Corrie, unless it's Jenny and Ronnie, don't you dare. Right. He shows her this cash now, doesn't he? And she's like, this is bad money, she calls it.
Bad money. That well-known phrase, bad money.
Yeah.
Not dirty money, which most people would say.
Toya knows she's a Battersby.
That's bad money, that is.
He says, look, I need to use it to support Kelly. I need to get Corey's shoes analysed.
What a waste of time.
Meanwhile...
Corey's shoes?
Kelly's shoes, sorry. Yeah, it's Kelly's shoes, isn't it? Sorry, yeah. My notes are wrong. Abby, meanwhile, is talking to Kevin, and there's a rumour going around that Tommy Orpington is going to be a character witness for Corey. Oh, no. Imran backing him again.
I can't believe that Tommy Orpington's agent is letting him remain embroiled in this sordid case, because when they had that meeting in the only hotel in Manchester, didn't his agent say, oh my God, there's a crazy lunatic woman here shouting at you because you're trying to big up Corey, maybe we should leave.
Well, also, I want to know how much Tommy O actually knows Corey, because he also left the football club not long after that. What has he done?
Bought shares in Corey's future footballing career or something? Why is he this invested in this random goofy kid?
I suppose I could believe that Mr. Corey, Mr. Brent, it is Brent, isn't it? Corey's surname. Has tried to buy Tommy O's favour or something. He's like, so I'm going to get in there.
Get you Corey's dad's like, I'll get you some new football shoes. And Tommy Orpington's like, I've retired, so just
golf clubs, please.
Yeah.
Imran's at work again later. He gets another visit from Sabeen, and she's like, right, I've got an idea that could benefit both of our clients. Let's get the courts to try Kelly and Corey as minors. Because they're both, 17 at the moment?
Not
are they?
Minors.
16, 17? No. And it'd mean that she would get a guardian sitting next to her. They would be able to call them by their first name. So basically...
That was weird.
That was weird. I didn't know that was a thing. But it means that maybe people would go easier on them because they'd say, oh, look how young they are. And Imran's like, no, I'm gonna prove that she's innocent the normal way. And Sabeen scoffs at this, and he's like, what? Away with you, woman. Meanwhile, we have...
I don't like your ideas
Jack.
Because we used to shag and now we don't.
Yeah. Jack is in the cafe with Sally, and he's saying, oh, Abby's so upset about what's going on at the moment. She cries at night. What about... Oh, I did feel bad for Jack when he was like saying, oh, I've heard these rumours that Tommy O's going to be defending Corey or being character witness for Corey, because like Tommy O's a bit of an idol for Jack, isn't he? And he's like... And now he's on the other side, and I think it's probably a bit too much for his how old is he? 11. Yes, that's right. 11-year-old brain to comprehend the fact that this idol of his could well be giving evidence against
evil
man. No, giving evidence for evil man. So that was quite sad. But Sally says, look, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Justice will be served, Jack.
Justice is always served. Nobody's ever gone to court. Nobody's ever gone down for something they didn't do in this country.
Apart from me, Sally. Kevin tells Debbie that this trial's starting next week. And also Corey and Kelly's identities are being protected. That was about a thing for about one episode, wasn't it?
This was like somebody read the script and went, oh, you need to make it look like we know what we're talking
about. Mention this and this. It's not being treated as a hate crime, and that didn't get
this annoyed me.
They
made a big fuss about this, but I thought that was part of what the original case, Sophie Lancaster case, was about, getting the police to recognise
I see.
that as a hate crime. That was in this parallel universe, Sophie Lancaster never existed. And so the police don't recognise attacking someone for the way they're dressed as a hate crime.
Yeah, okay.
But I thought that was one of the major things that came out of her, the campaigning that came after her death.
I don't know. I guess we'll see more about that next week, won't
we?
Well,
I think that it's maybe it's supposed to be a parallel with the story where...
Yeah, totally. Anyway, Debbie says to Kevin, look, I can't see them getting away with it anyway. Kevin hopes that she is right. We have Toya visiting Leanne next, and she says, look, I'm feeling a bit piggy in the middle here. I don't think that Kelly killed Seb, but also she's not completely innocent either. And then
who's saying this?
This is Toya saying this.
I don't think she's wrong.
Absolutely. Then Simon comes in and says that, watch out, everybody, Corey's identity has been leaked online. By who, says Toya. She goes around to number 13 saying what's happened, and Jack's like, yeah, it was me.
I just want to say...
He went onto a Tommy O fan site or something, and then named Corey there.
I just want to say that I don't know whether this is a thing in other countries, but we have injunctions and super injunctions in this country where... especially like high profiles or people or celebrities or like, for example here, like an underage youth or something, get their identities protected online. But every single time this happens, you just like go on Twitter and you can find it.
Yeah.
Because it's not illegal in other countries. Like there's nothing anybody can do about somebody on Twitter from America saying, I know who that is, it's so and so. But I think they try to like blanket. It's a really weird kind of censorship thing. I obviously understand why. Because look for example about what happened to poor old Cliff Richard when they were like, oh, Cliff Richard's being investigated for child sexual abuse, and they like went and got all his stuff out of his house and everything. He didn't do anything, but his reputation's still been tarnished by that. If they had hidden his name, then they could have investigated it and not had dragged his name through the mud.
I don't get how these things are supposed to stay quiet anyway, because I would have thought that, somebody like Jack or Abby or somebody would have been, shouting it from the rooftops that it was Corey before that they were told they're not allowed to.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
They would, I don't know, anyway, so that's a bit
I think it's one of those things that... The other thing as well that's weird about this is that all the people who know who Corey is know... that he has been...
Yeah.
He's going to have this court case.
Yeah.
People that don't know who Corey is, it doesn't matter whether they...
Well, I mean, it would have been all around the school, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
For one thing.
Everyone who knows Corey knows that this has happened. People who don't know who Corey is, the name means nothing, so what's the point? I don't. Honestly, obviously, there's a very good reason for this, and I do appreciate it, but it just seems like it's kind of impossible to stop that happening on the internet.
Toya, sorry, we've had that. Abby then lays into Jack off screen, sadly, because there's a break, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then Jack's reeling from
so sad.
being dragged across the coals by Abby later.
Abby's such a bitch.
But Kevin's saying, I'm proud of your son for trying to make things better, and it should be okay. And it kind of is.
I can't believe how laissez-faire that Kevin was. I would be such a bad parent because I'd be like, oh my God, Jack, we're probably both going to go to prison now because you've broken the law. Oh God, they're going to take you off me. Oh, what's going to happen? And Kevin's like, it's just the law. I've broken a few.
No,
what can they do?
I think Kevin did the right thing there. He is only little as Jack.
I wasn't saying that Kevin did anything wrong. I was saying that I would have reacted completely differently to this. I would have been like, "Oh, Jack, go and enjoy playing on your games while you still can."
So Imran tells Kelly he's gone to visit her later that he's going to go with Sabeen's plan. And of getting them tried as minors, which means she's not going to have to sit in the dock. Also, we learned that at this point that after her court appearance or whatever it was on Monday, Laura has been given a suspended sentence for child neglect. Bizarrely, Kelly didn't know what that meant. I probably didn't at her age either, but then I wasn't facing, possible 20 years in prison, and I might have studied up on the lingo.
A suspended sentence for kicking someone to death.
No, I know, but when you're in prison, you learn about
the lingo. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, so basically, in case you didn't know, suspended sentence just means if you do anything wrong, you get chucked back in.
Yeah, like when Fizz had that gun last year and she was told that she wasn't allowed to do anything naughty for 2 years, and then they forgot about it.
Yeah. So if you do something wrong within a period of time, the amount they sort of say 6 months or whatever, and if you do something naughty within whatever amount of time, then you have to do the 6 months in prison.
So the reason that Laura got brought up is that Kelly's allowed to have this appropriate adult in with her, so it can't be...
What's the point of a suspended sentence for child neglect if you don't even have the child in your custody anymore?
We're not allowed to do anything wrong.
Like, don't have another baby and not look after it because it will literally die of neglect, because we've seen that movie now.
What movie?
The M. Night Shyamalan movie.
We did go and see M. Night Shyamalan's Old, and there was a baby there that...
No, don't give it away.
It was oh my gosh, that was an awful film. It was so bad.
I thought it was the best film I've seen since The Happening.
Anyway,
it was
look,
literally the worst.
We're going off topic again.
If you ever want to criticise Coronation Street for like bad scripting or anything,
you just watch the Old.
Watch Old, and you
script, direction, acting, everything about that film.
Look, if you don't want to know another spoiler, it happens very early on in the film. Just like stop listening for like a minute. There's a bit where a dog dies, and the line from a doctor is, "The dog's died, but he was just alive."
The baby... I'm going to say this if we're in spoilers for Old territory.
We just said that already.
Okay, fine. We're getting so sidetracked today. I apologise profusely, everybody that's listening.
Honestly, I will say it was so bad, it was good. It started to be good again.
I could not wait to get out of the cinema. The film started at like 9:40 in the evening, so I was a little bit tired.
You had a choice.
When we see when we go to the cinema and it's a film that I'm not interested in, you can tell, can't you? Because I get so restless.
You just start fidgeting.
My legs fidget and flip up and down, and I was all over the place during this.
You were like revolving in your seat.
Yeah, I was basically. Back on track. Toya is suggested by Imran as being Kelly's appropriate adult, and he kind of volunteers his girlfriend to do this job. And Kelly, bless her, is very, very relieved when Imran suggests this. Toya, when she finds out later, though, not quite so happy.
Yeah, this was quite funny because he's like, "Oh yeah, she won't mind."
Yeah, she hasn't found out yet anyway. So Abby, meanwhile, is gone to find Sally and is having a go at her for egging Jack on, apparently. And Sally's like, "No, I didn't. I just said everything was going to be okay. I was just trying to reassure him." And then Toya walks up to them. I can't remember what she was going there for, but she kind of walks to the end of the street, sees that Sally and Abby are at loggerheads, and she just kind of backs away, reading the mood a little bit, which is quite funny. Imran goes home, and this is when he tells Toya that she's been voluntold to be Kelly's appropriate adult, and Toya's like, "No, I can't do that. What will Abby say?
We're best friends."
Yeah, this
came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah, me too. We've seen about Toya not particularly being happy about being the pariahs of the street, and Imran's kind of steamrolling through it anyway and say, "Well, it's going to be fine, Toya. We need to do it because, justice." But the fact that Toya...
I can understand her, like, in an abstract way, saying, "This is really awkward. We live on the same street as the mother of the person that this person's accused of killing." But the way she said it, like, what will Abby say? Like, "Oh, what, the coffee morning where you talk about your favourite book that you read that week? What are you talking about?"
See, Toya and Abby could be friends.
Really?
Well, they're the same age.
Is that all it takes?
Sometimes in Coronation Street.
Only when you went to school with them.
Imran says, "Look, I've already told Kelly that you're going to do it,
so you better."
And then Toya breaks the news to him about Jack leaking Corey's name online.
Yeah, and he hadn't even heard this.
No, he doesn't know this. They go out for a bit where they bump into Abby, who has a massive go at them for basically just defending Kelly and everything. And Toya's like trying to fall over herself to say, "Look, it's all going to be fine. As soon as this trial happens, the better. Sorry, Sabeen." And Imran's just standing behind her, not volunteering any extra information or reassurance or anything. He's letting Toya take the rap.
Well, also
for all of this,
this is an awkward situation because Imran knows that he wants to ask for an extension.
Yes.
And he hasn't told this to Toya yet. So Toya's saying, "Oh, let's get this over and done with so we can all move on." And then she looks at Imran, and Imran's not going, "Yeah, let's get this over and done with," because he's like, "Oh, I can't really do that because I've got to get my blood spot stuff doing." And then she says to him later, like, "How didn't you say anything?" And he still doesn't say,
"No.
Well, actually, I'd rather do it next year."
Abby tells Imran that if he pulls any shady business with this trial and Seb doesn't get justice, she's going to have him. Kevin, meanwhile...
It really winds me up
later.
that
What?
Imran's not saying, "I genuinely don't think she did it. I think it was all Corey."
He is saying that, isn't he?
I don't think he really is, though.
I don't know.
Because I would just be like, look, I completely agree with you. Corey needs to be brought to justice. He needs to stop blaming Kelly.
We will talk about all this later as well. There's no point having a
slanging match in the street.
Kevin finds Abby later in the gardens. It's in Seb's garden. We have to talk about which garden we're talking about now, don't we? It's bursting into bloom, Weatherfield now.
With the Queen's
Seb's
bush.
Garden, is Abby's there feeling sorry for herself, very, very on edge about everything, and she's upset with herself because she had to go at Jack, apparently. Kevin says, look, you can act however you want. I'm going to be right there beside you.
Because really, it wasn't that long ago. It was like 3 months ago that her son was murdered. And so bland. She should be over it by now, but she just keeps bringing it up.
Move on. Next story.
Yeah, sorry for your loss. Move on.
Imran is back on the phone later. He's trying to get this case delayed, but not getting anywhere. And this is what Toya catches him doing. And she has a massive go at him for trying to drag out Abby's suffering. He says, look, I need more time to get these shoes analysed or whatever.
And then he said the stupidest thing.
The only evidence I've got is Nina's drawings, and there isn't anyone looking like Kelly in that.
I couldn't believe it when he said that. It's like... Also, though, there is a bit where people are talking in emojis.
Yeah, I know.
So...
If it turns out next week, or whenever this trial ends, that the bit of evidence that this whole thing... hinges upon is Nina's drawings.
Well,
I'll be a little bit let down.
I can just imagine the process by which they'd have to admit this into court as saying, look, there's nobody that looks like Kelly in those sketches. You'd have to then independently analyse and come to a decision that the court agreed upon as to how good Nina's drawings were and how much they actually resembled the people that they're supposed to be. Would you have to call in, would he have to spend £7,000 on getting the local, community college art teacher going, yeah, actually, this one looks just like Nina and this one looks just like Seb. We've had an independent person just cross-reference all the people, and there really is nobody in there that looks like Kelly. I
really don't get where they're going with these drawings. How on earth
you have to have some kind of objective decision about how good she is at art. This girl has had her boyfriend been murdered, and she also nearly got killed herself, and now she's on trial for how good she is at drawing. How do you know she didn't draw Kelly in there, but she's just really bad at drawing Kelly?
Yeah.
Imagine how awkward that would be if she gets called to the stand and Imran starts to ask her, I see here that nobody in this looks like Kelly. Does that mean that she didn't do it? And she'd be like, actually, she's on page 4, 8 and 9 kicking Seb to death.
It's sorry, Your Honour, we haven't got any CCTV footage of this attack, but I have just done a little doodle on this napkin. I'm going to slide it across the desk towards you. I'm not trying to bribe you. It's a drawing.
And then the judge says, well, there is precedence in 1782 when we accepted napkin evidence.
Anyway, Toya's having a massive go at Imran, obviously. She's saying, look, you've done a brilliant job. You've been working really hard.
Patronising.
You're giving Kelly the best defence possible, but now is the time for it to come to court. NTA week is coming up in 2 weeks' time.
We can't put it off anymore.
We can't put it off.
Do you want an award or not?
And he's like, Super Soap Week in October, can't we just put it back to then? And she's like, no. NTAs, we haven't got anything else apart
and then he
from
says,
Phoenix Ashes.
Last year at Christmas, I had one of the best scenes of the whole massive story of the year. Can't we wait for that so I can do a soliloquy in court at Christmas time again? She's like, no.
That was the 60th anniversary. We can't wait to the 70th for this to go on.
God,
we can't try her as a minor then, can we?
Think about it, Imran.
He calls Toya naive and says, Kelly's life is on the line here and it's all on me. If I slip up once, Sabeen's going to be in there and she's going to take hold of it and she's going to win. Sabeen's going to win. And Toya's like, you mean Kelly's going to lose?
And he says it's the same thing. And she says, is it?
He says it's going to make us unpopular with the neighbours maybe, but I don't care. And Toya says, even if you lose me...
Now, this was interesting. I know we might talk about it later, but we had different interpretations of this, didn't we? Because
I thought that she... What did I think? I thought that she was...
an ultimatum.
Yeah, she was saying you choose either Kelly or you choose me.
But I thought she was saying this eventually could lead to us breaking up because of how obsessed you are about this.
Yeah, I mean, Friday there didn't appear to be any more of this ultimatum hanging
saying,
over him. So
it's me or Kelly. I think she was saying, you're getting way too obsessed with this. It's literally your job, I understand, but it is still just your job.
Friday, Toya is in a bit of a mood with Imran still. She's proud of him. She's kind of struggling between, this is getting to really get on my wick now, but also I think you're doing a bang up job and you kind of sailing solo on this.
It's like
I'm worried
how
about
Leanne
you, mister.
felt when Simon was a drug dealer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're earning your own money, but I can't endorse it.
They tell each other they love each other, which is always great. And he says, look, I really think a delay is going to be best for Kelly in this instance. My mate, who's a forensic scientist or whatever, thinks that Kelly couldn't possibly have kicked Seb. It's more likely that she just watched.
Oh, she just watched.
Yeah, so that's fine. Laura comes over. That was random, wasn't it? We saw Laura for
weird.
one scene in the street this episode. She says, "I want to help out with a case."
She doesn't say that.
She does say R. Kelly's case, and it's like,
and I was like,
they're doing it on purpose now, aren't they? I want to help out with the R. Kelly case, with R. Kelly's case. Imran says, "Look, I don't want you to have anything to do with this." Smith says, "Off you pop." So we don't get to see any more of her.
No.
Toya goes to visit Leanne, tells her about the delay and everything. Simon's there on Kelly's side, isn't he? He reckons he's on #justice for Kelly. Leanne's still firmly on Abby's side about this, of course, and Toya says, I'm worried about Imran. And also, if Kelly's convicted, he's going to blame himself. He's not going to be able to cope. All the drama and the stress. Abby's in the cafe with Roy later. They got the pre-trial review today, which was where the big scenes in today's episode all revolved around. Everyone's stressed out about it. Abby says, I just want to see these animals go down. So Imran turns up at court. Sabeen's there. They're talking about this possible delay. She's like, no, I don't think that's necessary, actually.
Oh, you bitch.
I know. And then so the pre-trial thing starts, and Imran says, Judge, can we have an adjournment, please? Can we pause it for a bit?
No.
For a few weeks or whatever? And then there's the other guy, isn't there? The one who isn't a character. Mr. I can't remember what name he had, but he was the guy
judge.
he's prosecuting, isn't he? He was on Seb's side.
Yeah,
he's
and
the
then
goodie.
He's on the side of the government. He's the Queen. He's the Queen's bloke.
Yes.
Because it's the Queen. Surely it's the Queen versus Corey and Kelly.
Yeah, that's right.
I tell you what, I'd be devastated if I ever have to go to court and it's the Queen versus me. I will be so upset. I can't tell you. Because I never want to hurt her feelings. She's done nothing to me.
I know. He's like, no, I don't think we need an adjournment actually, and the judge says, no, me neither. It's going ahead as planned.
See, this is how I want to start every meeting I ever go to. Can we do this another time?
We then cut to Simon going to visit Kelly in the jail, and she says she's kind of pretty down at this at the moment. She's blaming herself, which is probably going to come and bite her in the bum next week. I was there, I started it, I was the one that slapped Nina, and Simon's like, no, it didn't make it your fault that Seb's
and I was
dead,
there
though,
going,
you weren't doing the kicking.
Yeah. This annoyed me because this made me think that because Kelly said it, we're not supposed to hold it against her now because she admitted that she kind of did it wrong. Whereas, you know what I mean? Like it's not gonna come out at another time. She's kind of taking ownership of it, so we're supposed to instantly forgive her, but I don't. It was her fault. Simon
says somebody must have seen what happened. So he goes to the cafe to speak to Nina and say, look, can't you just remember? Just make it up and just draw it and say you've remembered it. They seem to be accepting this as evidence now. And she gets really upset and Roy orders him out. Mm-hmm. We also have Sabeen in the court asking that she wants Kelly's drug past to be brought up because she got... what was the story there? She got wasted with Asher that one time, didn't she? And
listen, this kid
on Jacob's drugs.
This kid has been a drug addict and also a child pornographer.
And yeah, exactly.
And she kicked a boy to death.
She didn't kick a boy to death.
She
was a spectator.
Oh right, didn't know it was pay-per-view.
Imran says that this whole drugs thing is irrelevant, and the judge agrees. So
the judge is like, "Look, I've only been a judge for about 3 years because before then I was an interviewer at Weatherfield employment agency, and then also I was DC Chapman for a little bit, and then I was a reverend for a couple of years. Then I was Joyce Malone.
Oh, she was Jessica Lundy. We've just got Coropedia up at the moment. Gemma, you found this earlier.
So this is Olwen May, who plays
my
who plays the judge.
She was the vicar
I told you,
who
I
married Roy and
recognised her.
Haley.
Yes, she was. She was the vicar who married Roy
See,
and
I was
Haley.
watching her going, gosh, she looks a bit like Alison Webster. And Alison Webster was the one that Kevin married that also looked like the Justice Jessica.
All right, calm down. She was also
that.
DC Joyce Malone, who investigated Frank Foster. We're looking at Coropedia, by the way.
I said this.
Because he was raped Carla.
Yeah.
And she was also the consultant who treated Carla in 2019 when she had a mental breakdown. So she's only been a judge for at least, the maximum of 3 years.
You've just blown my mind. Because I loved Jessica Lundy when she was in there fighting for Roy and Haley.
Saying Jessica Lundy as
Jessica
well.
Lundy, that
Jessica
well-known
Lundy.
Coronation Street.
She's been in a lot of stuff.
Marrier.
She was in A Touch of Frost. She is in Children's Watch. She's in The Bill, Doctors,
Who
Emmerdale,
hasn't?
Life on Mars, The Royal, Silent Witness, Monroe, Shameless, Inspector George Gently, Happy Valley, My Son the Fanatic, and Whoops.
Well, I don't know what to say now. I can't see her as the judge now. Anyway, blimey. She says,
Look.
yeah, we're not going to include the drugs thing, but it's fine it's fine if you want to submit. Yeah, I don't just get a picture of her. It's fine if you want to submit Nina's artwork as evidence,
Drugs,
because actually I'm a bit of an otaku and I quite like to read it, actually.
Yeah, is it a manga?
So, wow.
What about shoes? What about shoes?
Shoes. Yeah, no, can't have the shoes.
I love this. This was this was conflicting for me because I'm on Imran's side, but I hate Kelly. So Imran's like, oh, I got all these shoes and I spent £7,000 on them. And the judge is like, what, are they Yeezys? No, you can't have them. Sabeen goes, Miss, can I ask a question? Can we not have that, please? Because it was in the wrong bag. And everyone's laughing at me for being obsessed with bags all my life. But look, this proves something. The right bag can make or break a court case.
The story is that Kelly's shoes were put in the wrong bag. They should have been put in a paper bag, but they are actually put in a plastic bag. Who can we fire for this? Also, nobody took a picture of them before they were put in the bag.
They've sweated, and the blood spatter pattern will have changed. And the judge is like, yeah, gross.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Sabeen.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a problem for him.
And he goes,
that's his main bit of evidence.
But it's my bestest
It's my critical evidence.
No.
Can I appeal?
No.
Nope. So it's all over later.
I felt really bad for him, but I was like, oh, yeah, no, but Kelly, oh, no, Imran, why, what, paper, plastic, which one? Which one's better for the environment? Just imagine the forensic techs, like, we're in a really bad mood that day, and he's like, screw the planet, put in plastic.
It's all over later. That
Sabeen's smug.
So Imran is sickeningly smug at Imran.
Sabeen is, yeah.
Yes, she's having a big old gloat, and then Corey's bloke comes over and says, "Oh, the CPS has said that if Kelly and Corey plead guilty, then they to a manslaughter charge. Then they can do that.
Narrow focus murder, or I don't know.
Yeah, because he wants to get the trial over with. Basically, he wants a conviction. Gemma was telling me this earlier.
You were saying, why does he care?
I don't understand things like this, but yeah, he wants to get a conviction, and if they just plead guilty, then it's easy for him.
They don't have
he
to
gets
do
his
the court
money.
case.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it frees up court time for something else. So
Yes.
if it's like saying, you say you did it, but we won't make you spend as long in prison.
No, we won't throw away the key for too long. So they go home. They go to the bistro, don't they? Imran does, and then Sabeen comes and joins him and winds him up a little bit more. Toya handily comes in there to get a takeaway. She's not happy to see these two ex-lovebirds together, or indeed that Imran has not contacted her since the court trial thingy to tell her how things went.
And unfortunately, she wears her heart on her sleeve when she's confronting them.
And Sabeen's like, I think I might be able to use this in the future. She says, "Oh, someone's in the doghouse." So Sabeen tells Imran that Kelly's clearly going to be found guilty of this. If she pleads not guilty, she could get up to 20 years for her part in Seb's murder. She'd be better off pleading guilty. And then this is when Simon comes rushing up to them saying, "Oh, Kelly's in a really bad way. Oh, what's going on?"
She's sad.
And Imran learns about him going to see Nina, has a go at him for interfering with a witness.
Apparently it doesn't matter though. It's okay.
Is it?
Oh, well, yeah, it doesn't matter. No consequences for anybody under the age of 18.
They weren't here. Simon is over the age of 18 now.
No consequences if you're under the age of 21.
Okay. Abby goes to the cafe later and she reveals to Roy that they're not going to delay the trial. She's pretty chuffed about this because she just wants it over and done with. And then she sees that Nina's looking a bit miserable. And then they say about Simon coming in. Abby's fuming about this. And Nina's going, "Oh, I just wish I could remember what happened."
She says she's let everybody down because she doesn't remember. And if she did, everything would be much simpler.
Final scene. Imran gets home to an extremely snarky Toya. She asks him about the hearing and he says, "Look, I can't get my shoe evidence."
I want to know this, right? Has he spent his $7,000? Can he go back to this person and be like, I don't need you to come to court anymore to say that these space shoes are...
I don't know whether he has spent the $7,000 or not.
So
I can't remember whether they've said. Because I thought he talked at the beginning of the episode about his mates just had a look at them. I don't know.
He had a case.
Cost $7,000.
I do not know, because this person's an expert and you have to pay them for their time. But I just think, honestly, it doesn't seem like he said something about. He said something about at one point this week, like, "Oh, that's £7,000 will help me to get justice for Kelly." And it's like, it's not though, is it? If you have to buy it, it's not justice.
Oh, okay, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
You buy a good lawyer, then.
Yes, but philosophically speaking, you shouldn't be able to go, "With this money, I can buy some justice." It's not justice if you have to buy it. Can you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. But if there's, I don't know.
I just didn't really
every
think.
little helps.
I know, but I only know stuff about American court systems, and it always seems really corrupt to me that it costs so much money and you can buy your way out of it if you're famous and rich.
That's what this story's about, isn't it? It's all about Corey and his rich dad being able to buy this crack legal team around him, get Tommy O to be a character witness and everything. Whereas on the other hand, we've got poor Kelly, who's only got Imran fighting her corner, and so it's about the imbalance. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, I know. So it's
rich
about
versus poor.
I understand. It's about this snotty rich kid whose dad is a publisher against this poor orphan child whose dad was a loan shark and mum is a massive chav.
Yeah.
Okay.
Imran says at the end of the episode, look, if Kelly pleads guilty to manslaughter, then she'll get 8 years inside. Maybe that's the best option.
No, never surrender.
Exciting stuff, isn't it? I'm really, really excited to find out what happens in this trial next week. I don't know what's going to happen with this till next week, apart from, there was a few bits that were leaked in the press months ago because there was a bit of pap snapping going on.
Pap snap.
But I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who's going to plead what. Have you got any predictions about where this is going? The way that Kelly's acting at the moment, she could very well be persuaded to plead guilty because she was saying, "Oh, it's my fault." She was kind of...
I hated that. "Oh, it's my fault." Yes. "Oh, I shouldn't have slapped her." No, you shouldn't have. "Oh, I just didn't watch." Yeah, you did. Yeah. What am I supposed to feel sorry for you about? I hate this idea.
It's tough, isn't it?
I really hate this idea that we have in fiction where if someone's really sad and sorry that they did something wrong, we're supposed to go, "Oh, don't worry about it then. Oh, it's sad." No.
It feels like we should feel sorrier for her than the majority do. I mean, we did a poll on Twitter, didn't we, about this? We said, do you feel sorry for Kelly? And 39% said yes, and 61% said no. And it looks like, the general mood on our Facebook group and other places that I've been on is Kelly needs to get some kind of punishment here.
She did something wrong and everybody hates her.
The thing is, I don't agree that she should get... She definitely needs some punishment for her involvement in this, but she shouldn't be getting... I totally believe that she didn't kick Seb. At the time when I watched it, I thought that they were both doing it, but there's no evidence now that they have.
We just watched it again, and I was absolutely convinced that it looked like two people were kicking him. But there is so much room for Coronation Street to go back and say, no. It was actually Corey all along.
Because what we see Nina and Seb walking down the street, don't we? We've got Corey, his two mates, and Kelly.
Where are they?
They run off after Nina, don't they?
No, but I mean, where are they now?
Where are they now? I don't know. So Kelly's kind of jeering, as is Corey. But then when Seb and Nina are pushed to the floor, that's when we hear Kelly laughing, which is what turned up on Abby's answer phone message.
Yeah.
But then there's a good 7-8 seconds of Seb being kicked with no sign whatsoever of Kelly supposedly trying to get him off him. So if she says, oh, as soon as he started kicking him, I tried to get him off, I'm going to no, you didn't. And I don't know whether Corey's going to try and rewrite history or to say, oh, the scene back in April where it didn't look like she was helping, that was just done for a dramatic license or what. The facts are, from what we've seen, yes, she may have helped him, but she didn't straight away. So I absolutely think that she deserves to have some punishment here. And yes, she did start it. Okay, Corey goaded her into slapping Nina, but she is not an innocent party here. Does that mean that she should have some kind of custodial sentence? I don't know. But if at the end of this story she walks away scot-free from this, I'm going to feel pretty shortchanged here.
The thing is, she's obviously okay with Corey kicking Seb a bit. But her story is that once she realised that it was, killing him, she decided that it was bad. That's bad then. So she's okay with a bit of a kicking, but not lots. For what reason? What did Seb ever do? I don't even get it. It's really stupid.
The thing is, she's going to be asked either, do you plead guilty or not guilty to either manslaughter or murder? And she can, hand on heart, say not guilty to both of those.
She can say not guilty to murder.
She can say not guilty to manslaughter. But if she wasn't...
I don't think we know enough about the law to say confidently that it is not illegal to do that.
She didn't join in. Yes, she didn't stop him straight away, but then she did. I think that she can say not guilty. But I don't think that she... I don't know. The way she was talking today, it felt like she could very easily convince to plead guilty. But I think probably she'll think about it, consider pleading guilty, but then change her mind and say not guilty at the end. I hope there's a decent trial out of this, because if it turns around on Monday and they say, yeah, we did it, and they say, great, court is over, then that's a bit rubbish for the court week, isn't it? So somebody's going to have to plead not guilty. Corey will probably plead not guilty, won't he? Or do you think he'll plead guilty to manslaughter? I think Corey's dad seemed like he's going to try and move heaven and earth to get Corey off completely, but it could well be that he says, maybe you should take this chance here and only get 8 years in prison, 4 for good behaviour. What are you looking at?
I'm just trying to look up what it is that, what murder is, what is it in this country versus manslaughter, and can you be, because I know in America, if you commit a crime, if say you're involved in a robbery of a bank and somebody gets shot but you didn't shoot them, you can still get done for murder because you were responsible for the crime that led to the murder.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
So I just don't see how you can get out of it.
I don't think that Corey's going to get out of it in the end. I don't believe he's going to walk free, do you?
I don't see how
I think
anybody
Justice says no.
Can say, of sound mind, I didn't think that kicking somebody when they're on the floor would kill them. I don't see how you can say that.
I can't remember whether they have they not got the evidence. Did they not have Corey's shoes or something? I can't remember. Or did they find him in the canal or something?
But the question was, did he put them in a paper bag or a plastic bag?
Yeah, very, very true. Oh, the water's run. It's made the blood run. You can't use that. I don't know.
So, manslaughter's a bit different.
Found anything good yet?
Involuntary manslaughter is unlawful. This is from sentencingcouncil.org.uk. Involuntary manslaughter is unlawful killing without the intent to kill or cause really serious harm. So that's not what he did, is it? Because that's not, I didn't realise that I didn't intend to cause him harm when I kicked him in the head. That's not right.
No.
Unlawful act manslaughter is charged when death occurs due to a criminal act which a reasonable person would realise must subject some other person to at least risk of some physical harm. doesn't matter whether the offender knew that the act was unlawful and dangerous or whether harm was intended. So basically, it's like, if anyone can say, don't kick somebody because you might hurt them, that means that it's unlawful act. I don't know.
Well, what about watching? Is it like a conspiracy or contributor to manslaughter? I don't know. I think we wait until
how about
next
this?
week.
Manslaughter by gross negligence occurs when the offender is in breach of a duty of care towards the victim. The breach causes the death of the victim, and having regard to the risk involved, the offender's conduct was so bad as to amount to a criminal act. No,
Kelly was not in duty of care over Seb.
But I guess not. But at the same time, if somebody's being kicked, you don't have. It's not your responsibility to stop them. But at the same time, if you don't. This is the thing. She wasn't a bystander, was she? She was involved in the whole thing.
She wasn't just somebody walking down the road on the other side.
Say if I was walking down the road and I saw two men and one of them was kicking the other one, I think a lot of people, if I didn't go, hey, stop doing that, and I just ran away, a lot of people would say, well, she's probably scared that she might get also kicked to death. Mm. But if I was following somebody, go kick him to death, and then he got kicked to death, and I was like, didn't know that would happen. I think that you would say that I was culpable in some manner.
I just don't know how they're going to try and improve anything, because these drawings aren't going to make any difference. And
these drawings are nonsense.
And also, what can Nina remember? Because she wasn't there. She picked herself up. And we saw this in what we watched today. She ran off, got chased by these other two, and the kicking did not start until Nina had been chased off round the corner. So she did not see what happened there. So I'm fascinated to see how.
So I just want to say that when we rewatched the scene, I definitely remembered it differently. And I was totally, I even went and, checked the date. I was like, did they change that? Is that from when they uploaded it originally, or did they change it since? So I checked the date, and it was the same thing. So I hold my hand up, I've remembered it wrongly, and it's not as obvious as I thought it was that Kelly was involved. But in no way, from what Coronation Street showed us, could Nina have seen what happened.
No.
Because she was chased to a different part of the area by two people, and she was so badly hurt that she's lost her memory.
Mm.
And this was when he was kicked.
Yeah. So I'm interested as well. Abby, what does justice look like for Abby? She said that she wants to see these animals sent down. Do you think that if she realises that Kelly didn't do any kicking, is she going to be satisfied that she gets a lesser sentence, or what? Is she going to say, "Oh, sorry, Imran, you were right for defending her. I didn't realise."
I don't know whether we need. I think for storytelling purposes, Corrie wants everybody at the end to sort of have a big hug and a kiss, and say, "No, you did the right thing." You know what I mean? But in reality, I'd rather that she just went, no, I'll never forgive you, because I think she deserves more than she got. Because I still, and I also wanted to say about Kelly, I have this really bloodthirsty vengeance side of me, which I don't think is a very nice personality trait.
She does.
But I don't think that it's an unusual human trait to have. But I'm like, punish her, get her in so much trouble that she'll never, ever recover for the rest of her life, because Seb is dead and it's kind of partially her fault. But at the end of the day, this is a young girl who's got the rest of her life ahead of her, and as a society we can decide to say, you made a massive mistake here, but the rest of your life can still be rescued and you can still be a productive member of society. How is Kelly ever going to benefit herself or anybody on this planet if from the day one, when she becomes, she's expected to be an adult and a sort of productive member of society, she's in prison for watching something horrible happen to somebody else and not do anything about it? And how is she going to turn her life around from that? She's had a really crap upbringing. Her mum was neglectful, and this is what it's led her to. Isn't it more? Doesn't society benefit more from her? Somebody saying, "No, let's help you and stop you from... Because honestly, she seems like she's scared straight now. You know, she's done so many bad things already.
She's learnt a lesson.
But now she seems like she's like, oh crap, yeah, this is a bit too far now. Maybe I should stop. I just don't think she's a nice person. But I don't think that that's illegal.
The thing is, in real life as well, if she was able to escape a custodial sentence, maybe she shouldn't hang around the street anymore. But the problem is, if she does get out, she probably will hang around the street, won't she? The thing is,
I think... will be like, Toya, we've got to take her in. She's got no one else.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, ITV, Corrie would do well to keep Millie Gibson because she is actually a pretty good actress. I mean, so is Max Evans.
Yeah.
But there's no way that he's going to stay on the programme, surely, is there? But how can they have her staying around with Abby? If it was a choice between who do I keep between Kelly and Abby, I certainly know whose side I'd be fighting on then. What else did we have on this?
Okay, I'm just reading a piece from The Guardian. Which is about a different case. It's by Harry Stopes, and it's called How Do 11 People Go to Jail for One Murder? This is from 2018, and it says that there's like a massive group of people who were all got convicted of murder for one guy being stabbed, and it says it's called joint enterprise. It says, this is the quote from the piece, there are a number of ways a person can be convicted for a crime in which they did not play the decisive role or even perhaps any role at all. Collectively they are known as joint enterprise, a principle of common law stretching back hundreds of years. In one well-known case from 1952, Derek Bentley was convicted of murder after his accomplice in a burglary, Christopher Craig, shot a police officer. Let him have it, Chris, Bentley had said, perhaps telling Craig to hand over the weapon, or perhaps, as the prosecution argued, urging him to fire. Under joint enterprise, Bentley had provided what is known as assistance or encouragement and was therefore just as guilty as Craig, the principal offender.
Wow, and that would suggest that Kelly is pretty... guilty then, doesn't it?
And you think Kelly's having a tough time of it. Derek Bentley was hung. So she's looking at 20 years. I think that's fair enough.
Okay.
I mean, is laughing an act of encouragement? I would say yes, because if I was like arsing around, like, I don't know, juggling some eggs and somebody laughed, I'd take that as like, that's great, carry on doing it. I wouldn't be like, oh, better stop juggling these eggs.
She was definitely like jeering and calling at Seb and Nina as they were chasing them as well. They were all drunk as well, though, weren't they?
Yeah,
they were. What did you think of Toya being her appropriate adult? Do you think that's going to cause any issues?
Oh, what a conflict.
Yeah.
I can just imagine her sitting there, like, really trying not to look like she's smelling farts while this court case is going. She's going to be so annoyed.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember.
I think Toya probably has to get used to pretending not to smell farts with all the veggies that they eat in that house. It's probably quite fragrant.
What was that thing that Mavis made Derek? Parsnip surprise,
yeah.
Does Toya think that Kelly did it? I can't remember.
No, she said... she says, I don't think that she did it, but I think she was involved. I'm pretty sure Toya said that.
Because this is the thing, right? There's two things going on here. There's like the moral argument about what as a collective group of people we all agree is the right or wrong thing to do in a situation. But there's also legally, how culpable are you or are you not? And it seems to me like the legal position is that you should be in trouble, just as in trouble, according to the law. Whether or not the law is correct is not, is
Toya going to, step down from being an appropriate adult? Is she going to think, I can't sit here next to this person as I'm hearing this?
I think what will happen is Toya will be like, Imran, I can't believe you're forcing me to do this. And then she'll sit there and she'll be like, oh, Kelly, I just can't be mad at you. Look at your beautiful face.
I wonder whether the reason that plot-wise Toya's got to be there is that so that she can watch Imran and Sabeen butting heads, because she's already feeling a little bit guilty about Imran and the ex. And they've been sitting, and she's caught them a couple of times now at the bistro with each other. And Imran so far has said, I don't want anything to do with this, but I'm wondering, and I don't think I'm worrying particularly. I think I was more worried when I first saw her, but is there going to be a spark there?
For example, the prosecutor says, like, and then, Your Honour, the final kick was perhaps the hardest one of all. And then Sabeen says, that's what she said. And then Imran goes, and then Toya goes, I can't believe it.
Do you think there's any chance at all of Imran and Sabeen rekindling anything here? I mean, he'd be a bloody fool because she's a really nasty piece of work. She's such a smug git, isn't she?
She's
but this is a soap, lest we forget.
She's out to manipulate and win. Like, honestly, Sabeen, to me, looks like she has no interest whatsoever in trying to win Imran back.
No,
but I do think that she would mess with his head if she thought it would give her a chance. Because, unfortunately... Well, not for the story. Their clients are at loggerheads. It would be different if they were both trying to defend themselves at the same time, but they're both pointing fingers at each other, saying he did it, she did it.
Yeah, I think you're right about maybe leading Imran up the garden path to try and encourage him to slip up. But she's also got her head screwed on. She knows what she's doing, and I don't think that she would do anything that would potentially, get her in trouble.
No. But I can imagine her coming out of court going, "Oh, Imran, I couldn't believe you today. You were so masterful."
If she thinks that it's going to lead to Imran and Toya having an argy-bargy when they get home that evening, and then so the next day Imran shows up at court and he's not, got his head screwed on, right?
Well, he's not reacting well at all to anything to do with Sabeen, because when Toya came into the bistro and they were both sitting down together, he was like, nothing to do with me. She just came and sat down. I don't like her. And she's like, 2 Harvey Wallbangers, please. And Toya's like, what's going on? He's really playing into everything Sabeen's doing to fluster him, wrong foot him.
Yeah.
She's messing around and coming up to him and saying, "Oh, don't you think we should do this?" Or "I think we should do that." Listening to what he's saying to other people, using it as information, scurrying off.
Yeah. Great stuff.
He's telling her all the stuff that she needs to know to get him, and she already knows how to manipulate him. Probably. I know, it's really good.
It's really, really good. I hope that this story gets a really nice chunk of next week's action. I'm intrigued to see what's going on with, the Feelings Ashes, because they brought that up for some reason today. There's only about 3-4 scenes of them, but this story needs to get the lion's share of the scenes next week, just as it did when the attack actually happened, and they almost had 2 weeks of Corrie where this was the only story, didn't we? I don't care about Maria's and her quest to save the world next week. Park that, please. Let's have full-on trial stuff, because there's plenty of great drama to be squeezed out of this.
One thing I wanted to mention is that Al on our Facebook group brought this point up, and I didn't even think about it, but Imran was trying to find justice for Rana for a year to find out what caused the crash, the
roof
crash on her head, and he was desperately trying to find out who did it and what caused it. He can sympathise completely with Abby and her quest for justice for Seb, but it never came up once, and there's no internal conflict there either. He hasn't said to Toya, "I don't even know if I'm doing the right thing." I understand they're trying to build this conflict and tension between Toya and Imran, but I think an internal one in Imran would be way more interesting, because we've seen couples split up and get together, offer each other sprinkled donuts, for ages, but he's in a really unique position of being somebody who's experienced almost exactly what Abby is going through, and rather than say to her, "I know what you mean," he's going, "Oh, I can't talk to you." You know what I mean? It would be really interesting, even just to say to Toya, "I have to do this. I have to," but if I was Abby, I would be furious.
Yeah.
At least he did say, "I'm doing it so that Seb can get justice, because we have to have a legal system that has defence for people." But I felt it was a bit weak. But anyway, I'm still enjoying it. I think it's really good.
Oh, it's fab. It's fab.
I'm really loving Sabeen. I think she's such a funny minx.
I know. I don't need her to be a long running character or anything, but I'm enjoying the proconflict that she's providing.
I can just imagine the wardrobe department and I don't think this ever happens. The wardrobe department and the writers team going, right, we have to have her be a minx, but she can't be slutty. And the wardrobe department's like, button to the neck. I know what you mean. Victorian frilly brows. Got it.
Well, Victorian frilly brows, that's Toya's thing, isn't it? So
she's like, "Imran, how can you fall for a woman that has nary a flower upon her fabric? I thought you liked floral patterns." And he's like,
"I love floral patterns as much as I love fetty lasagna."
It's all coming out.
Right, we must move on. That's been a very long time talking
I really
about
did
that
enjoy
story.
that, and I'm sorry that I did ramble a bit about reading that article, but I did think it was interesting. And so if you guys want to look it up, you just have to look up that the article that I mentioned in The Guardian.
Yes.
But on to another really important issues-based storyline.
Smoke and mirrors.
Do you know...
I know it's not smoke.
The way that they explained this and the dangers of breathing in fumes and how it affects asthma felt like we could have done with a bit of that kind of explanation in the court case where none of us know about legal stuff. But I think everyone's kind of on board with the idea that exhaust fumes, like huffing them directly into a child's face, can have detrimental effects. I don't think we needed this lesson.
No, and it really did feel like a lesson, didn't it? We
really
were being
did.
beaten over the head by the PSA-ness of this, weren't we? Blimey.
I feel
Anyway, go
very
on.
bad for all the car driving that we did this week.
Yeah.
On Monday, Liam's got a bad cough. Hold the front page. Weatherfield Gazette. Let's put this in there.
Yeah, don't ignore it. We all know what happened to Shannon Tattersall.
Dead.
Meningitis.
Maria's gets into an argument about Sally about the parking thing because she thinks you should better park where you like because she's got her hair salon and she needs people to come and get their hair cut. How are they going to get the hair cut if they can't drive their car?
And then along comes something to instantly change her mind.
Liam... Jack's like, let's see what happens.
Yeah, so Liam's having a coughing fit, and fair play to the little boy who plays Liam. I thought he was doing a pretty good job. I didn't know this was going to happen, and when he started doing that, I was like, bloody hell, what's going on with Liam here? He's doing an awesome job. I thought of, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know it was an asthma attack. Is he gonna die in the middle of the street over here? But yeah, Jack, what you doing?
Oh, look, I want to defend Jack here because...
What was that all about?
Universally panned him on the internet for just standing there like an absolute lemon. I have to say, one time...
I would say he looked more like a lime because he was in his Weather County outfit.
It's like, oh dear. One time I was in the hospital and it was... I can't remember why we were there. We were visiting somebody. There's me, my mum, my dad and my nan. And I don't remember if you were there or not.
To Waterloo.
Bucket of Vindaloo. My nan was eating and she started choking on something she was eating. And my mum and dad kind of like, quickly like, oh no. But I just sat there and ate my dinner because I was like, don't make a fuss. It's embarrassing when you choke on food. I will just see how this pans out. But to be fair, I wasn't the only one. And I wasn't solely responsible. And she was being helped.
I'm surprised you didn't take this as an opportunity to talk about the fact that when I nearly choked to death in that French restaurant that one time.
Go on, why don't you tell me about that?
We were in Cherbourg at Uncle Scott's, which is a very not at all French
authentic.
burger restaurant.
C'est vrai français.
And I was having a nice steak, and I started choking on it. And I was choking, and I was like, oh blimey, what's going on here? And it was... And Gemma didn't do anything. Then I took my glug of lemonade.
I glared at you.
Took my glug of lemonade. No, that bit of steak was still stuck in my throat there. And then, luckily, I was able to cough it up just in time. And Gemma says, I was just about to come and go.
No, that's not fair. I literally was about to stand up. But I don't speak any French at all. And I was thinking, if Michael dies, how am I supposed to tell people that he's dead?
Il est mort.
Il est mort.
Au secours.
I was literally about to get up, but the most disgusting thing about this whole story, but Michael will never tell this part. So he's choking. He's got this steak in his throat. He takes a swig of lemonade, obviously does nothing, and then he chokes it up with the lemonade, a big wad of steak. And then calmly cuts it in half and puts it back in his mouth. So
I don't know why it's good steak.
Anyone who feels sorry for him and thinks I'm a bad person and for like allowing him to nearly choke to death. He wasn't traumatised at all because he just carried on eating his dinner.
I was bloody traumatised by that, and for years afterwards. How long did it take me to eat a steak? Now, I am a really, really fast eater, aren't I?
I would say...
But the years after that, if ever I had a steak, it was painfully how slow it took me to eat it.
You went from eating your food like a madman to a normal amount of time. Because you ate your steak very carefully and cut it into small bits.
I chew when I have a steak.
Which is, to be fair, how you should have done it originally.
Anyway, so Jack was just about to run over and save Liam,
he goes and tells Maria.
That I would say was the directing. They just kept cutting to him doing nothing and
he didn't
reacting
really look
in
that
no way.
concerned, did he?
He was just standing there.
It's like he could have been looking at his watch like, is this... I don't know how long this is
now,
taking.
I think that Kyron, I can't remember how you pronounce his name, has not done too bad a job as Jack in the past few years. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Monday was a shaky
Both he
week.
and... Is it Charlie, the boy who plays Liam? I can't remember. They've both had a good, year and a half off Coronation Street at this point. So let's just say they're getting back into the swing of it.
It was a shaky day. Monday's episodes, don't think...
Not going to go down
cohesively done
in Corrie history.
Anyway, Jack's like, oh, blimey, cool, love a duck. Perhaps my friend is dying.
As we say here up north.
Yeah. Tells Maria, and she's like, cripes!
Stone the crows!
And Sally does a revolution around her bag, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
To get her phone out. I thought that was funny. She revolves around it, in a panic, and phones the ambulance. But guess what?
What?
Because of the cars.
Oh yes, ambulance can't get down the road.
They're like, oh, wow, I couldn't believe how fast we got here because the ring road's finally open and traffic free. But when we get to come round the corner from Coronation Street, there's a bloody Merc parked on the corner.
Bloody Ronnie, Uncle Ronnie again, causing trouble.
Ronnie has to move it, and the paramedics they're just going beep beep. Well,
that was the stupidest cliffhanger, wasn't it? This was a break cliffhanger, and it's like, oh no, the ambulance can't get around. Oh, it's fine.
How do I solve this problem? I know, use the horn. So anyway, the paramedic actually remembers that they can get out of the car, out of the ambulance. Runs to go and help him, gives him air. They go to the hospital, and he gets diagnosed with asthma. And Maria's like, what? No way. He's never had asthma before. And they say, has he been around a lot of traffic recently? Has he been sucking on exhaust pipes? And she's like, no. Maybe.
Hang on a minute.
So he gets... Yeah, I feel really bad for him. I felt like this. I had asthma. I was diagnosed with asthma as a child.
You still do have asthma.
You can't ever say you don't have it.
You got your brown inhaler in the drawer next to the bed.
I don't use my inhalers anymore. Maybe once or twice a year.
Yeah. But
it's one of those things where once they say you've got it, they'll never say you don't have it anymore. Even though I think it can improve. Anyway, I remember feeling like this. Well, I don't want to have asthma. I don't want people to make fun of me. Because there's this stupid trope of the big fat kid who's unathletic, huffing on his inhaler for comedic effect so everyone can laugh at the stupid asthmatic kid. I hate that trope so much. It doesn't help children that have asthma to feel better about themselves.
Or the big nerd, the Millhouse.
Yeah, oh, it's a sexy girl. I hate it. It's ridiculous. They should need to stop doing it. It's not funny. Liam's obviously been watching the same cartoons as I had when I was a kid because he's mad about this and he doesn't want to live in Holland. He wants to live in Holland.
Yeah, he does want to live in Holland because they
got
all the pollution sorted there.
Apparently.
They all go on bikes everywhere.
Yeah, so he's upset. Gary shows up and he's mad about it as well because he had to find out through Kirk. And then Maria talks to Kirk about it. And then Kirk...
Not in the hospital.
Yeah, she's on the street.
Back on the street now.
And he's like, well, toodaloo. And then he poots off in his van with a big plume of smoke.
That was a silly shot as well, wasn't it?
The whole Monday's...
The fumes there and Maria turning round.
And it was
through the smoke.
Yeah, it was on completely
some kind
every
of evil
scene.
Villainess.
It was all completely on the nose, wasn't it? There was no subtlety with any
No,
of
there was no
direction.
subtlety here at all.
She
it
Maria,
was about as subtle as a crowbar to a van.
Maria goes to Underworld and says, Sarah, get that van off the road. It's a liability and it's fuming up the street. And Sarah says, no, why should I? So Maria says, don't worry about it. I'll sort it out myself. She goes and gets a crowbar from the garage and then she starts to smash up the van. And everyone's like, wow, let's just watch this. She's absolutely crazy. And then they say, stop doing that. And she eventually stops and walks off dramatically in the final scene of the episode, as you mentioned earlier, walking down the centre, like it's some kind of Western. It would have been badass if she'd murdered somebody, but she literally just tapped a van.
over £1,000 worth
like
of damage.
mild
I'll have
vandalism.
You know. The thing is,
and it's not even the craziest thing Maria's ever done. And everyone's like, "Oh, that's as out of character for you, Maria." It's like she's a psychopath.
We've seen better crowbarrings on the street, though. I mean, David Platt, he's been up and down the street.
If anyone deserved a high crane shot of drama with a crowbar, it was David Platt.
Becky, didn't she attack something with a crowbar once? Or was it an axe? I can't remember.
It's a tradition now, isn't it? In Weatherfield, it's just a tradition. On Wednesday, Liam's mad about the inhalers. This is like the children with medical issues show now.
It's the everyone with medical issues
but
show,
also
Gemma.
Specifically children, you know.
Who's the other
diabetes.
one? Oh, yeah. Sepsis.
Yes. Yeah. Legs come off, lungs fall out, die.
Everybody on the street has got some kind of medical issue. We know
But
this.
I mean, everybody does really in real life.
I know,
but we just don't go on about it, do we?
We're British.
That's what Gary should have said.
Lip about
Look,
you
shut up,
cancer
Liam.
Sinead.
Yeah, stop moaning about it and drink your smoothie. Gary says, "Don't worry, Maria's got your back." And then Maria says, "Oh, Gary, can we have some of that shoe money that you gave for that pointless forensic expert to pay off my debt to Sarah for smashing the heck out of her van?" And she's also got to do community service, which I sort of hope is like
her community payback. I think you'll find it's called.
I'm gonna get my revenge. I hope that her community service involves driving people somewhere, just for larks. Like the patient transport service for Weatherfield General. She's got to apologise as well. So she goes to the factory to apologise. And Sarah's like, "Oh, am I supposed to be grateful?" I love this. She's such a cow. She's such a condescending cow all this episode, Sarah.
She did have her van smashed up. I think she's got every right to not accept
I didn't
Maria's
say it was
apology
unjustified.
gracefully.
Can you not be justifiably condescending? I don't know. So she makes some mummy comments, walks off. Maria goes and talks to Sally, and she says, "Look, you're right, Sally. We need to do something about this traffic." And Sally's like, "Great," and then Maria's like, "So what are we doing?" And she's like, "Oh God, I didn't even think about."
Put a sticker on you.
Yeah.
And go, yeah.
She literally has no ideas or plans.
But they're trying to make Coronation Street a residence parking.
Yeah, by
zone.
getting signatures on a petition. Maria wants action. Maria wants crowbars. Maria wants violence and vengeance and community payback. So
together they'll certainly solve it.
Maria sees Sarah. This is the problem again with this thing. What is going to happen in this show? They're just going to stop people parking there, and then Liam will like forget he's got asthma.
It feels like the story's just going to be quietly dropped, but I don't know. And it's so far they've run quite a bit out of this, haven't they? Because they've had Todd getting hit by a car, and then we had the jollities of Sally on a campaign trail last week, and then this week we had all the asthma stuff. I'm surprised they've taken it in quite a few directions, but it feels like it is a bit of a issuesy thing, and it's going to get dropped.
Right. So Maria sees Sarah in the pub and says, "Look, sorry again." Sarah says, "Okay, but you just know that I can't do anything about it. Like we've got one van that's a hybrid, but we also need another van, and we can't afford two that's hybrid." And Maria's like, "Look, it's not personal, but what's your corporate responsibility and your environmental policy?" And so I was like, "Look, leave the environmental stuff to people who've got PhDs, not GHDs." And I was like going, "Ha ha ha, take that." And you were like,
"I don't get that."
You just ignored it. And then like the next day you said to me, "What's GHD?" So GHDs are hair straighteners.
In that case,
it's a funny joke.
It's
a funny joke. But yeah, I couldn't believe it when she said that. What a cow.
That was great.
So Maria goes...
I think they just need to get Michael on the case, because he's a bit of an inventor, isn't he? He could invent a knicker car that runs on potato fuel or something.
Something that's already been invented, which is an electric car.
Well, no, what is there a surplus of in Weatherfield that they could use to...
Stupidity.
Stupidity. And Kerr could be driving it. It's perfect.
Plug it directly into his brain. Oh, ever since they put this new engine, I'm going really fast. I can't understand it. Oh dear. Anyway, Maria goes to see Gary. They make up, and then he tells her.
No, she
says we've got to sell our big car, because that's another thing that Sarah brings up. It's like, "Oh, you can talk," and then she tries to get him to also sell his van.
Da, 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 but I need that for transporting dead bodies.
And furniture, but mostly bodies.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't sell it to Imran's forensic mate, who's just gonna run a test on it. Hang on a minute, it says there's dead loan shark been in here.
Sorry, look, I'm really sorry, but I put it in the wrong bag, so it's broken.
What sort of bag is right for a corpse?
An environmentally friendly bag.
Yeah, so what was it that didn't work on this? Was it just a bit like calm down, love, Maria?
It felt really I really don't like it when people don't care about something that's obviously a problem until it affects them personally, and then they become like completely... This is a very normal thing to do though, isn't it? Get completely like vigilante about it.
I just get wound up by Maria. I wish
Maria's such a sanctimonious cow. Like, suddenly nobody's allowed to drive a car around her precious son.
Yeah, when she didn't care about it at all before.
But
and if it had happened to somebody else,
yeah.
like, you know, if Harry had developed asthma, for example,
she'd be like, "Oh, wind your neck in. Who cares?"
Yeah,
everyone's got asthma.
Yeah, it's just
so. My question is,
and Maria's boring.
Like, we know that they, I don't. Are we allowed to say that they put a electric charging station in Coronation?
Yeah, because Eileen had that green car that she won in the competition for about 2 years.
It was promotional, wasn't it?
Yes, I think
they got paid to put that in, and there was a charging station on Rosamond Street outside
the medical centre.
Outside the medical centre.
It's not there anymore.
It's not there now, which makes me wonder whether they're going to have a big thing about, you know, a charging station, because the government wants everybody to start using electric cars soon in this country, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to start giving people money to install charging stations in their driveways and stuff. Wouldn't it be nice to have a driveway? So are they going to get like a bank of electric charging stations, and everyone will be like, "Oh, this is good, we've never had this before."
I mean, Coronation Street does like to be the green soap, don't they?
Yeah.
They do have the little, you know, the little duck with the twig in its mouth at the end of the credits because of all the environmental stuff they do. And I don't know if it just feels a little bit like something where they can say, "Can you renew our certificate of being the greenest soap everywhere?" Also, I don't know.
But it's also annoying because this is like the least car dependent community perhaps in the whole of the world.
Yeah.
And they never normally have cars, and it's everyone else is parking like, "Oh, we don't need cars." It's everyone else is being mean and parking their cars here. They've got a tram station literally around the corner. They've got a bus stop at the end of the road. I literally can't help but think there's nothing anyone can do to help these people to stop using cars. They've got everything they need. They all live and work across the road from each other.
Yeah, exactly.
It just feels like, what are you supposed to do about it?
It doesn't quite sit right with this particular community, does it? Oh, well.
And the thing is, Sally wants there to be permit parking. Is that going to solve the problem of the fact that we all drive cars? No. They need to do something like put electric charging stations, or everyone gets an electric car or something, you know?
I want them to put on the tubes like they have in Futurama and just sucks them up there and zooms them to wherever. Maybe not.
I would pay money to get one of those installed on that street. Shove a few people in there.
Oh dear. Right, Grace Under Fire then. This is an alright story, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is my controversial opinion story.
So, Ed on Monday has been doing a bit of house hunting, hasn't he? He's
oh my god, this was the other bit that wound me up.
What he says, "I've picked up a house at an auction. I've got a fixer-upper." He says, "Look," and he also tells Grace and Michael that he can help them out with finding a house as well, because what?
I'll explain it in the way that it actually happened.
Go on then.
Ed,
I forget.
He's living in a house with his 2 grown sons who live with him, one of them with his partner and their child, in a
backstreet terrace.
In a terraced house that was not built for this many people. Well, it probably was built for this many people, but realistically doesn't house that many people these days. Comes in and says, "Guess what? I've bought a second house so that I can profit off of people's misery by being a landlord," because apparently it's evil to be a landlord. "I know that you guys are looking for somewhere to live, but I don't care." And then Grace says, "House? You've bought a house? That's funny, because we'd actually like a house." And then he says, "Oh, maybe I can help you find one." I don't think finding one's the problem, Ed. I think it's all the other stuff that comes along with it, like buying it. I literally could not believe that this man, like, I understand, like, I get it, but he's obviously doing it well for himself if he can afford 2 mortgages, and he's not even, like, offering to say, like, why don't you live there while it's being done up? You can do some of the paintwork, or you can sand it, or you can look after it until it's ready to rent out. Literally, no idea or concept of helping his children out at all.
He does
and he's not responsible. I'm just gonna say, I don't think he's responsible for it at all. But you would think from the way that they interact with each other that Ed and Aggie would have at least thought about it.
He does say he's going to help them out find one at auction, because he's realised this is the way that you get houses cheap.
Only when Grace says, we want to live in a house as well, Ed.
Yeah, but it's
like, oh, not that one. Not the one I've just bought.
So, fine.
I'm sorry, I thought this was ridiculous.
Grace gets looking through the magazines, and she's earmarked a few properties already. She goes around the factory to show Michael, and he's really not that interested.
It's like, what, a house?
Still,
I've already got one.
Despite having many conversations with Ronnie up to this point, where he's told Michael, you really need to tell Grace that you're not that into her and give her the heave-ho, he still hasn't built up the courage to do it yet. So Grace says, well, how come you don't sound particularly excited about this? Why is it me that's doing this? I want to have the house with me and you and Glory. And he says, oh, I'm just happy at living at number 3 at the moment. It's by work and everything. What it really means is my mum washes my pants for me and cooks me breakfast every morning.
Marmite and cereal together.
Grace says, well, you know what? I've been offered a job at my friend's lighting company in Hull. So cool. She says, well, we can go and move up there.
No, she's saying, I'll go move up there. You stay here if you want.
Oh yeah, she does, doesn't she? Yeah, and then the ultimatum, the possibility at the end is that she says, I could team up with you in this baby grow business, and
that I basically put together.
Yes, because Michael's. So that.
Well, Michael's came up with some ideas, and she then used his company that he already made, but he kind of shut down, to sell these baby grows. And then she says, look, why don't we go into business together for this baby grow stuff? And that can be my job instead of me going to Hull. And he's like, oh, well, no. Let's just wait till it's got more established.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Wednesday, we have a little bit of James, don't we? Only last week James was in it about his complaint, but apparently it is being appealed, isn't it? It's going to be investigated, but nothing else happens there. So Ronnie and Michael have another conversation. And Michael's like, oh, I just don't know if I can trust Grace. I don't love her anymore. And Ronnie says, tell her the truth, you bloody donut. I've told you this 1,000,000 times. Why can't you just admit to her that you're not that into her? And Michael's scared of what she'd do, which is fair enough.
What's this?
I've just done a bit of extra typing.
Is that Abby that did that?
It might have been.
It's just a bunch of random letters.
No, he says, I'm scared of what Grace would do. And I kind of understand that
I
as well, because
completely
she has got
sympathise.
psychotic tendencies.
He's right. He should be scared of her because... She would do lots of bad things.
She would.
Probably.
So Grace meets him in the Rovers later and says, look, we maybe need to speak to Adam about, the legal side of this business if we're going together and everything. And he's like, oh, I don't know, it's a good idea. In fact, the whole thing isn't a good idea. The business and the co-parenting. Finally, he gets his act together and tells her that I'm not that into you, Grace. So he gets his drink thrown over him and she storms off. Hasn't had a good old drink thrown for a while in the Rovers, have we? I miss it.
Was it against COVID? Surely you can throw Dettol on somebody.
Quite helpful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just inject it straight into their veins.
Spray it at them.
They're back home later. She wants to know why he pretended he loved her again.
She's absolutely devastated. She feels like an idiot. She's been strung along.
Yeah, and he says, oh, I thought, if I hung around you enough, I'd remember what I loved about you first time.
But it's not working.
But I was scared of losing you and Glory if I told you the truth. And Grace is like, no, I'm not happy with that.
No.
So Ed comes home later, finds Grace absolutely fuming. She's packing all their stuff in her bags. She says what's going on.
Aggie's there as well.
Yeah, she says, I've wasted too much time on Michael and his deadbeat family. I'm out of it.
And Aggie's like... Oh.
Aggie and Ed have... wanted to be grandparents, and they thought they were to Tiana, and now they're worried that they maybe going to lose another baby, so they have got to come up with a plan and quick to stop her from leaving their life. So Aggie's saying Michael's got rights, you can't do this, and Grace says, well, you know what? If you give me this house that you just bought, I will stay.
First of all, she says, well, I'm glad Michael told me how I feel, because I don't have to put up with you anymore.
Oh, yeah, that was
And then
funny.
she's like, Aggie and Grace are like, I hate
very
you.
dare you.
I absolutely love Aggie and Grace hating each other.
So do I. It's brilliant. That's what I also want to keep Grace on the street, just so that carries on. So Grace says, yeah, if you give me this new house, then maybe I'll stay. 5 minutes to make that decision.
Okay.
Both me and Gemma looked at each other with exactly the same idea about what Grace was going to be doing for 5 minutes upstairs. I'm just glad that they didn't have lots of straining and farty noises followed by a toilet flush at the end. Yeah, a little bit of air conditioning.
Don't go up.
So while she's up there, Michael gets home.
And then Aggie and Ed are like, right, it's your problem now, we're going around the pub.
So Grace comes home and comes downstairs, and Michael's there, finds him begging her to reconsider before she leaves. He's like, look, I'm always going to care for you, I want you to be happy, don't take Glory away. And she's like, no, screw that. So she goes to the pub to find Ed and Aggie, because they've had more than 5 minutes now. Michael by this point has given...
No, he says, I just want you to be happy, but I don't want you to take Glory away. And so she goes and sort of fibs and says, Michael says he doesn't mind if I leave.
Yeah, so can I have that house, please, if you want to keep me here?
If you want me to stay, Michael doesn't care, so you're the only ones that are objecting, and if you want something from me, you're going to have to give me something back.
Yeah, and she says, I gave you 5 minutes before, but, we're at the end of the episode now, so I'll maybe give you until the next episode to come to your decision.
Because honestly, that didn't solve the problem. I still got a bit of a funny tummy.
Yeah.
So you can have to tomorrow.
48 hours in the Kazi now. Friday.
I'm so glad you built that downstairs toilet.
Friday, things are still pretty tense at number 3. Aggie tells Ed that Michael's going to be devastated if Grace leaves, as if we needed reminding.
No, he's going to be devastated if Glory leaves.
Yeah, exactly. Grace leaves with Glory. Yeah. We need to call the police. She's blackmailing us. And Ed says, look, I don't want to risk
I don't think it
getting her mad anymore.
Like I
don't know.
I don't see...
She's really
I know lots of people...
trouble for this.
I know lots of people really think this is awful of Grace, but... I don't see this as blackmail at all. This is literally, she said a few times that she wants to go to Hull because her family's in Hull, her friends are in Hull. I kind of get the impression that she is from Hull. She's moved here because she thought that Michael wanted to have a relationship with her. Then, admittedly, she went a bit mad. She kind of went to prison for stealing a baby and all that, but put that behind you. Let's forget that happened. She's kind of put her life on hold. She really has. She hasn't got a job. Didn't she want to abort this child? I can't remember, but I don't remember that. I don't know what happened. I can't remember it, but she's got a baby now, and Michael helped to bring that child into the world, and he expects her to just live in his parents' house forever as like a prisoner. Do you know what I mean? She's got a job offer and family in a different city, and she's like, it sounds like she's blackmailing, but she's really just saying, I can live somewhere else. I can live anywhere in the country with my baby. And he said he doesn't want me anymore and we don't like each other. Why would I stay? I kind of get what she's saying.
No, I do as well. I just really, really like Michael, and I feel bad for him, and I kind of like Aggie and Ed at the moment as well. So it's
I think everybody's kind of right in this situation. Like, Michael's right because he should have told her a long time ago. I would never trust her again. She's a psychopath. I wouldn't want to be dating her or have a baby with her. But that ship sailed. I can understand Ed and Aggie going, this snake woman has hatched our grandchild somehow. We have to keep her at all costs, but we're not going to be blackmailed because that's our nest egg. And she's saying, I just want to live somewhere that's not with bloody Aggie eating her weird banana custard with, I don't know, anchovies.
It's I think they could just do with Grace having an unfortunate accident or something. Maybe her and Natasha can get into a crash together or something.
Maybe.
Now. So anyway, she goes to go and see Ed at the yard, and he agrees to go along with her plan as long as the house stays in his name.
This is what I said should happen.
Yeah, and she's like, no, I don't like the idea of that, actually. You said I could have this house. And he's like, no, this is a good deal. And she says, she kind of relents in the end, doesn't she? So the house is still going to be in Ed's name. She's just going to be living there rent-free. And although she can't move in there yet because it's not ready to be moved into,
inhabitable,
he's going to do whatever he can to make sure that she can move out ASAP. Aggie doesn't like the idea of Grace hanging around a bit longer. She's mad because they've spent all that money on the home. Now it's kind of lost. And what happens at the end? Grace is alone with Ed later. She's actually quite grateful, and she's sorry about the blackmail and everything, but she hasn't got a choice. Michael comes home and they say, oh, we're renting this house to Grace out so she can stay local. He is relieved because he's still going to be able to see Glory.
Yeah. See, honestly, I don't know what anybody expected Grace to do. I get people are mad at her, but I don't know what they expected her to do if she doesn't have a job and she has a baby and nobody to support her. And it's not like she hasn't tried, because she got offered a job in Hull and she turned it down because she wanted to stay with Michael. And she also wanted to help him with this business that she literally launched, and he was just arsing around doing nothing and moping about not being promoted at work. And she's actually doing stuff. And he's like, no, you can't be part of it. Like, well, right, then I'll take the site off. You know what I mean? She's done all this stuff, and then they say, right, don't live in this house, move out, but don't go too far because we want the baby, but we don't want you. Well, it doesn't work like that.
Does she think that she can, win Michael round again if she stays around longer? Do you think?
No, I just think I don't. Honestly, if I was her, the only thing that I'd be thinking that was a good thing here was getting free rent.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
I just don't see, like, I mean, this is the question, is Michael paying her any kind of child support? Because if he's not, then sorry, but £500 a month for rent for your baby seems kind of fair enough. I don't know. I don't know how much child support is, but you can't expect this woman to live near you so that you can have the baby when you want to see it, but you hate her guts. And you expect her to just stick around and not go back to her family. Oh,
I just think it's a shame, because I think that, under different circumstances, Michael and Grace could be quite a nice couple, actually. I completely understand.
Right. He's right that she's
if he doesn't love her, he doesn't love her.
Regardless,
and there's always going to be the worry in the back of his mind that she could go nuts again.
I just think, regardless of what you think about Grace as a person, in this situation, I don't think that she's being that unreasonable in saying, if you want me to stay, where am I going to live? I'll live in this house that you guys have just bought. The other thing I said, like, if I was... and Ed did do this, I would say, yeah, you can live there, but you're not having it. And that's what he did do. I think it was a pretty clever compromise.
Yeah.
And also, I would have said to her, if you want to live in this house rent-free, then you're going to have to pay the bills for it, and you're going to have to help me renovate it, and you're going to have to paint stuff and strip wallpaper and sand the floors. You're going to have to do all of that, and you're going to have to maintain it. Because surely they need somebody to be there to stop it from getting broken into.
Absolutely.
And then you've got Aggie sort of going, oh no, that was all of our money. Like, if you can afford a second property, you're not that hard done by, are you? I don't want to be
It's quite
mean.
funny that, the Baileys came in with all these money problems. Aggie did bring it up, didn't she? She said, thought we got past all our financial worries because caused by Ed's gambling and everything.
Just doesn't... I never really... Like, everybody has opinions about how other people spend their money. Whether or not... Like, nobody should be saying it to people. But you have opinions, don't you? And I'm just watching Ed and Aggie, with two grown sons living in their house, with a second property that they're buying to rent out, and thinking... There's something missing here about, what are you doing? Don't you want your children to move out? Aren't you fed up with them? I would be.
I think they're just kind of hoping that James starts using his mega football
bucks.
But
he's like, it's possible that he might not ever get those mega football bucks.
Possibly.
It just seems so really mad. It just seems so, like, the money things, I don't know. Perhaps we just have generous parents, but I can't imagine my parents ever going, oh yeah, we're buying a house and we don't want you to live in it. And we're not going to give you discounted rent, or... Not that I would expect somebody to give me a house for free, but I certainly would be like, expect first
dibs.
First refusal if they bought a house that they wanted to rent out and I was homeless.
Yeah.
You know, is that unreasonable? I don't think so.
No,
maybe like 50 quid off a month or something. I don't know.
Let's move on to the next Bailey story, Gemma.
And anyway, the way the housing market's going now, they could buy it today and sell it 40 grand more next year.
That is true. Jelly Bradley, Gemma. Oh, bloody Uncle Ronnie.
Oh dear, the Baileys just causing havoc wherever they go. I want to know, what did people think about that? Because I know lots of people really hate Grace now and they think it's really funny. But does anybody agree with me that she's not being that unreasonable.
Oh yeah, I don't think she's...
No, I'm just interested in what people think. I just find it interesting. Anyway, we can all agree that Jenny has no business chasing after Ronnie, can't we?
I don't think everybody agrees that.
On Monday, Daisy's still in Jenny's bad books, and Ronnie comes in and says, I'm going for lunch at the bistro with Debbie, and Jenny's just jealous all week. Ronnie comes in from the meal, and Jenny's all being snotty and catty, and he's like, picks up on this vibe, and Jenny has to deny that she's acting jealous, but she's obviously...
It's definitely a case of she doth protest too much, doesn't it? She's clearly got the hots for Ronnie.
Daisy and Ronnie like look at each other and they know that this is what she's up to. And then Daisy's winding Jenny up about being jealous, and then Daisy tells Ronnie that Jenny's got her eye on her. Jenny's got
her eye on him.
On him. He put Jenny's got his eye on her, so that's why I got confused.
You know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
On Wednesday, Ronnie asked Jenny out for a meal, and this was her chance, and she blew it. She's like, oh, I can't. I've got to wait for the plumber.
Yeah, he catches her with a plunger in her hand or something.
She's kind of like, she's torn between, like, this is a bit inconvenient, and also, I don't know if this is what I really want now. He sees Michael later and says, Jenny's given me the Spanish Archer.
I did look this up. Spanish Archer is elbow. So it is giving me the elbow. I don't think I've heard that expression before.
I've never heard it before. I said to you, does that mean what? Like, no way, Jose, or something?
Yeah, that's what you said. No, it's elbow.
Elbow, is that what they really call it in Spain?
No, probably not.
I don't know. I only did Spanish for like 2 years and we didn't get to archery, believe it or not. Later on...
You must have done hobbies.
Later on, Jenny tells Daisy about Ronnie's proposition, but she's like, I don't know if it's a good idea or not. And Daisy says, you should definitely go for it. And then Ronnie comes into the Rovers and he's got flowers for her, and she's all like, but I'm not quite ready. And he says, I'm really sorry. I just thought that we would get together because Daisy gave me the green light. And Jenny's like, what? So when Daisy gets back, Jenny has a go at her for embarrassing her by egging Ronnie on. And Daisy says, why? What? You obviously fancy him. Why don't you just admit it? And she's like, no, I shan't. And then Daisy refuses to apologise for interfering. Then on Friday, Jenny tries to batter Ronnie up by offering him a full English. And he says, that's not a sex move, in case you wondered, from a different country. That's breakfast. But it could also be, I don't know.
Don't want to think about it. I think it was sausages.
I don't know. He says, I'm not trying to avoid you or anything, but because I understand it's just not the right time. Still want to be friends, but... I'm not bothered now. And it looks like she's missed her chance. And Michael's like, yes.
Yeah, throughout this episode, it was another one of these, like, no. And then, phew, maybe not. And then, totally being teased in there.
Daisy's trying to suck up to Jenny by doing all the tidying and everything. They start having a little argument. And then Johnny walks in right as Jenny says, I'm still married to Johnny. And he's like, well, hello, what's all this then? So Jenny and Johnny have a little chat, and it's acknowledge that they still love each other in a way, but there's no going back. And he says that moving on with somebody would be good for her. It would be tough for him to see, as would it be for Michael, but he'd get used to it.
Do you think Johnny's secretly going out with somebody and he's just telling Jenny this so that when he brings in this buxom 21-year-old,
just get used to it. Meanwhile, Ed is with Ronnie in the bistro, and Ronnie says, I'm just going to not even bother dating anymore. Debbie is bringing them the bill, and he points out that she's forgotten to put the starters on there, and she says, you're such a gentleman, most people wouldn't mention this, and she flirts with him. Meanwhile, Jenny tells Daisy that she's decided that she's going to take a punt on Ronnie after all, and now's the perfect chance because he's just come in with 2 glasses and a bottle of wine, says Daisy. So Jenny gets all excited, and she even takes a hair out of a ponytail. That's how you know it's serious. Walks into the bar. She glides in like a goddess about to receive her offerings from the mortals. It turns out that he is just having wine with Debbie. Can't believe it. They're talking about ghosts and Bigfoot.
That was funny.
And they're saying they're not real.
Oh, yeah, they were talking about ghosts not being real, and then Debbie pretended that Bigfoot was real, and then they just had a joke about it.
What do you mean pretended?
I think that they are perfect.
Read Missing 411 and tell me Bigfoot's not real.
I think that this shows that they are perfect together, and they should get married immediately so that Jenny can't possibly have a chance to get in there.
Well, they both love Malbec. And they both don't believe in ghosts. I can't think of a reason, a more compelling reason to get together. That's probably more background to two characters dating than Coronation Street's done for a long time.
Well, you know, he had Tyrone and Alina bonding over love of cars and dogs.
I love cars and I love
This
whippets.
is just as shaky as that is.
Ghosts, fake, Malbec, tasty. We're made for each other. Anyway, Jenny's not very impressed with this, but she tries to make out that she's not really bothered to Daisy. Ronnie tells Ed that it went well with Debbie, and then Johnny comes over to him. This is still in the bar, and he's like, "Oh, take your clothes off and come outside for a roll around in the gutters." And Ronnie's like, "I don't know what you're asking me." And then he says, "It's just a joke. I don't care if you date my wife, but you better not treat her bad because she's a catch." And then Ronnie's like, "Hang on a minute, I didn't even think that she wanted to go out with me." So he goes to the back and says, "What's going on? I think Johnny's still in love with you."
Well, when Johnny tells Ronnie, "It's fine, you have my blessing," he walks out and he looks a little bit regretful. He doesn't sit down and have a drink with him and that's it. He's still harbouring some feelings there, and this was when I was watching it going, "Oh gosh, maybe they are going to get back together, Johnny and Jenny."
Thinking like everyone else at home, like, "Oh, why did we split up? I can't
quite remember.
I can't remember anymore." She says, "Don't be daft," and Ronnie says, "Sometimes some people say one thing and they mean another." And then they say, "Let's just be friends," and then he leaves and she sighs.
They're
Flirting.
This is taking too long. They just need to rip the plaster off and get together, and then I'll just have to deal with it.
Don't complain about people taking too long to get together when you also complain about people getting together too quickly.
I just want to know what's going to happen with this, because this is months now where I've been thinking, are they putting Jenny and Ronnie together? Are they having Ronnie as the new landlord? Is there any chance of reconciliation between Jenny and Johnny? And up until this point, it's felt like absolutely not. But then they just dangle this little clues. They put these little breadcrumbs down today that made me think, oh, maybe it still could. And that scene with Jenny and Johnny around the table in the back room of the Rovers, lovely. They've got such great chemistry, those two. And they felt so, at ease and relaxed with each other. And why didn't one of them just say, why did we split up again? Oh yeah, you had that moment of madness with Ronnie. Those two are such a great match. Whereas Jenny and I don't know, maybe Jenny and Ronnie would be, but I can't stand behind that, and especially when Ronnie and Debbie could be fine. I don't see that there's any more chemistry between Jenny and Ronnie than there could be between Debbie and Ronnie. These two business owners together.
I can't see Debbie and Ronnie.
I can see them together.
They just seem like they're too peripheral.
Well, two peripherals make one regular or something. You know what they say. Debbie hasn't had a whole lot to do recently, has she? She's been sidelined. So get her into a relationship with Ronnie, and there you go. A couple of you can have some stories around.
I'd rather she had a plot that wasn't based in romance.
I suppose she's got the stuff with Leanne and Nick at the bistro, hasn't she?
Yeah.
But I'd much rather that Ronnie made a move on her and then kind of semi took over the beat. I can't be having Ronnie and Jenny together. Oh, man, it's driving me nuts. They just need to let me know what's going to happen here. It's nice to see that Johnny's doing something, but Johnny seems very aimless and purposeless without Jenny, doesn't he?
The way that Johnny walked into the back room so purposefully when they were having a secret conversation they didn't want him to hear makes it seem like he was literally starving for anything to do.
Yeah, I know.
The last we heard, he was renting a flat
in Maudsley Street or something.
And what is he doing for a job?
Dunno.
Arsing about.
Oh, come on, get back together.
He's probably buying cheap baby grows off of Michael and Grace and flipping them on eBay.
Maybe. Anyway, I don't want to rant anymore about this because not a whole lot happened. Kind of back to where we started. I don't know. Right, pop a ring on her finger. So Ty's a bit shifty on Monday morning because, as we know, he had that little snoggy snoo on the sofa with Fizz last week. And Alina says, "Oh, I'm missing your kisses," and she knows that he's anxious about this youth justice person that's coming around to speak to Hope today, and she thinks that that's the reason why he's acting a bit shady. But obviously, there's a little bit more than that. So Tyran goes round number 9. Evelyn's tidying up there, and sort of getting ready for this person to come round. She senses some level of tension between Tyrone and Fizz. Again, kind of gets the wrong end of the stick about what's been going on here. The meeting has happened later. It's all gone well. They've put on a united front, and Evelyn says, "Oh, I could almost believe that you like each other after all this." And Tyrone and Fizz are kind of giving each other glances throughout the whole of this because they know what happened. Fizz brings up the fact to Tyrone that they had this snog later when obviously Evelyn's out of earshot, and Tyrone says, "Oh yeah, it was a mistake, wasn't it?" So she kind of has to leave. And feeling a little bit disappointed towards the end of that. So later again, and Fizz walks in on Alina and Tyrone talking about going out to get an engagement ring because she hasn't got one yet. She's been engaged for how long? When did they get engaged?
That's because she didn't even mean to propose to her.
It was an accidental engagement. And Alina says, "Look, you need to talk to Fizz. This situation, this awkwardness can't go on forever." So Tyrone and Fizz have a little bit of a meet outside the back of the Rovers, and then we have spy cam, don't we?
Another weird
Monday. I quite enjoyed this because we saw somebody coming from the back of the Rovers and looking over the shoulder of Tyrone and Fizz talking about what went on last week, but we didn't know who it was or indeed how much they'd heard. And it transpires that it was Emma, who's obviously involved in this because she's Alina's friend and everything. Exactly. And Tyrone swears that they were just talking about shifts for looking after the girls. And she says, "Oh, okay, fine." But when Fizz and Tyrone walk off, Emma looks a little bit perturbed by this. So she's obviously
discovered a secret
more than
she's let on.
Yeah, exactly. So Tyrone and Alina go off ring shopping, but Alina comes home empty-fingered. She's been on the phone to Emma, and she saw this ring that she liked the idea of, but she didn't want to make Tyrone pay for it because it was a lot of money, and he's got 2 kids to look after and everything. So Emma catches Tyrone in the garage later and is like, "Why didn't you buy this ring? What's going on with you and Fizz? What did I overhear earlier? What's this grubby little secret that Fizz was talking about? Are you having an affair with Fizz?" And he's like, no way, man." But when Kevin comes along, Tyrone admits to him that yes, he has had a moment of madness behind Alina's back with Fizz. Oops. But I swear I'm committed to Alina though, and Kev's like, "Oh yeah, mate, it really sounds like it." So meanwhile in the flat,
to BS a BSer.
Meanwhile in the flat, Alina's asking Emma to be her maid of honour because, as we know, in Coronation Street, it's tradition for the person who's going to be the maid of honour or the
groom
or the best man or somebody has got to know a secret about
a horrible secret that would ruin the marriage.
Yeah, so this time it's all down to Emma. So she accepts the role, but she's feeling a bit awkward about it, and especially when Tyrone comes home and he's got this ring after all, and Emma's just kind of fake smiling throughout the whole of this, and then that's it, wasn't it? Because for some reason at the end of these notes I've got about Jack being spoken to by the police, which was the other story.
I just realised that we didn't follow it up. We just had Jack being reassured by Kevin, like, "Don't worry, nothing will come of it," and then
I've got my notes in completely the wrong order here. Yeah, so that's how that ended, really.
The bridesmaid with a secret, the accidental proposal.
Yeah, it's.
So many great romance novel titles in this storyline.
Do you? So Kevin now knows, and Emma
knows.
What does she know? She knows that there's something that's gone on, but she doesn't know what. Alina's blissfully ignorant about the whole thing.
When will it come out? At the wedding? Night before the wedding?
I hope it's no. It feels like.
When are they going to get married?
I don't know. I hope it's going to.
If he can't afford a ring without feeling bad and depriving his children, then they probably need to save up for a bit longer, but I bet that won't happen.
I hope that it comes out before they get a chance to go to the wedding. I mean, to be honest, we're in a situation with this story now where they certainly could put it on ice for a good month or 2.
I can imagine Alina having a Christmas wedding just like Claire Peacock and dressing up like Belle from Beauty and the Beast with a big fur-lined cloak.
We have had the Frozen references in the story already, haven't we? And she's saying that she's not an Elsa, she's an Anna or whatever. But I don't know. I think now that this has happened, it's enough to hopefully put the kibosh on Ty and Alina actually tying the knot.
Have we had a wedding this year?
We almost had a wedding with Kevin and Abby, didn't we?
Count.
And then Seb got killed, which
Rude.
was a bit of a dampener on that.
Because we were going to also have Todd and Billy. No,
Yes.
Alina and Tyrone. No,
Yeah, that's true.
somebody's got to get married. You can't have all these people getting engaged and then like people getting murdered and I don't know, stealing heat pump.
So anyway, I found that pretty dull, and I like Emma and everything, but I prefer her as the comic relief rather than the
So they've given her way too many dramatic stuff.
secret
too much
holder
dramatic
or
things.
whatever. Yeah, but what does potentially have potential,
No.
but didn't actually go anywhere today was the feeling burnt out story, Gemma.
Another comedic, possibly comedic funeral parlour story.
Mm-hmm.
On Friday, Eileen stands up to Bernie because she's calling Todd scum.
Oh, yeah,
and you and I
Bernie's
were
a go at
like,
Todd.
what did he do again? I can't remember.
Oh,
yeah. If you needed
The
reminding,
anti-Paul.
he was mean to Paul and stole his boyfriend and then stole a heat pump and then got found out. On Todd is cleaning up at the Undertaker's to prove he's a good person, and when Eileen comes around to bring some Costas over, he comes storming out going, what the hell is this? Then he sees Eileen and he's like, oh, it's just a spider. Ha ha ha. I guess I was being out of line. And then Eileen's like, everyone's really suspicious, but he manages to get people to shut up and leave. And then Todd reveals to George that he's mad because he's holding the urn that contains Pat Phelan's ashes, and he says, "Why have you
How
got
did
this?"
the ashes get there? I can't remember whether there was a reason about why George has got Phelan's ashes.
I don't know why he's got them, but he can't get Nicola to get them.
Yeah, that's
She
right. He said he
won't
phoned up
reply.
Nicola.
And he can't speak to Eileen, even though she's his ex-wife.
Well, I mean,
They were married, weren't they?
Yeah, but he doesn't think it's probably.
And he's like, I don't
very
think she
sensible
might get
idea.
mad about it.
What should
So
I
I
do
don't know
with
what to
these
do
ashes?
about it.
Todd's idea is flushing them down the loo, which is the same as Jenny suggested to Rita when Dennis's ashes turned up last year.
Oh, yes. And you've got, at the end of every section on our podcast notes, we have discussion points, and Michael's written.
That was weird, was my answer for that, was my points for that. It was a bit odd, only a bit that it was brought up and then didn't go anywhere.
I want to know, who is it that works at Coronation Street that finds cremains so funny? Because somebody there doesn't take it seriously whatsoever. The ashes are like really human remains, because we've had so many weird storylines. We had Dennis getting run over. We had Mary thinking Norris was in a pot and it was actually a dog. We had the tortoise.
Yeah.
The ashes of, what was it?
Flash the
tortoise getting flown in everybody's
in Lloyd's
faces.
face.
We've had so many stories in Coronation Street where it's like, as soon as you take a body and you turn it into ashes, it's like, ha 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 ha, throw it everywhere. It's just a joke.
Well, Todd isn't going to throw his ashes down the toilet because George says that all human remains deserve some respect, no matter what nefarious deeds they got up to when they were less ashen. So, I hope
it into a diamond.
I hope that there isn't some comedy thing that happens to Pat
There will
and
be a
go, ha
comedy
ha
mishap.
ha, the serial killer's now.
There will be. There'll be
I
some
really,
kind of weird
really don't
scattering.
think there should be some comedy mishap for this. I don't know what I want particularly, but Eileen, maybe it's just I just love Phelan too much. I don't want to imagine that he's being ridiculed in ash form.
Ashes on Coronation Street are like Chekhov's gun. If you see ashes in any storyline on Coronation Street, you know that it's only a matter of time before they're poured on someone's head, thrown into the wind and blown in someone's face, run over by a car, chucked in a canal. Something funny is going to happen.
What do you think is going to happen though? Because it can't.
They're going to fight over him and he's going to fall on the floor, and then they'll probably hoover him up and throw him in the bin.
It feels like there's going to be some way of getting George and Eileen to get together. Don't you think?
How is that going to happen?
Or is Eileen going to dispose of the ashes and then she finally puts the
Past behind her.
Yeah, exactly. Is that going to be something
And then
like
she says,
that?
you know what, George, I think this has been holding me back. Now I feel like I can date again.
I'm hoping there's more than that, but that's where I'm thinking it's going at the moment.
R.I.P.
I was really excited to see that Phelan's being brought up again.
Shout out.
Because I was thinking, after Richard Hillman died, he continued to be a lingering presence in the Platt household for a good few years, didn't he? Whereas since Pat's died, he doesn't seem to have.
Left a mark.
No, exactly. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I really did like this callback. I thought this was cool.
But
I don't think good things will happen
to
this.
As in the way I have by calling the story "Feeling Burnt Out," which is very disrespectful.
Yeah.
So that is the end.
Oh dear.
Of this week's Coronation Street. What are we giving it? What's our score? It's a really funny one, isn't it? Because if it continued in the same way as Mondays, that would have been 1.5, 2 territory. But this Wednesday and Friday's episode really, really dragged it up for me. I'm still not happy about the Jenny and Ronnie stuff, but I was kind of interested to see where it'd go. The Grace stuff was fine, but yeah, the trial was great stuff. I am going to give this story. I'm going to give it 3 envelopes of bad money out of 5.
That's bad.
What did I say? Did I say 3?
Yeah, 3.
I meant 3.5. 3.5 envelopes of bad money out of 5.
Yeah, I would give it 3.5.
Feels like is that to me. 3.5 what?
3.5 arachnid Pied Pipers, which sounds like the most horrific thing I can visualise.
Character of the week.
Ooh.
Who have we got? It sounds the way that you were speaking earlier. You want to give it to Grace?
Oh man, would that rile people up? I think it would. Maybe I should.
You can if you want to.
I just think that, unrelated to what she's done before, what they were asking her to do was kind of unreasonable, given that she's homeless and jobless and has a baby to support and no family in the area except them. But obviously in real life I'd have different ideas, and if I was them I'd feel differently, and I also do really strongly think that grandparents should have rights to see their grandchildren, but irrelevant to all that, because it's just a show, I think Grace is great. I've always had a bit of a thing for Grace, haven't I? I've always, for some reason, been like, I don't know what it is, I just really think that she's in the right here, even though, she's a psychopath, and even when she first came into it, and she was saying, Michael, trying to get back together, and Aggie's like, I hate her, and even though we were supposed to sympathise with Aggie and think there's something horrible about Grace, there must be, because all these characters we're supposed to don't like her. I was like, no, Grace, I can't believe it. They must have done something horrible to her. She's the innocent, wronged party. I don't know what it is about her. I've got a weird blind spot. She can't really do anything wrong. The fact that she had a fake baby, stole someone's baby, was hilarious. What a funny jape. And led to one of the best scenes of the year when Michael got told that Grace wasn't the mum.
But we're not judging by Grace's past actions. Is she character of this week?
I can judge it by whatever criteria I want. And I think that's obvious, given my past picks.
Okay, so you're going for Grace?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I might choose... Ed was quite good, trying to get
Who doesn't love a bit of blackmail?
I'm going to go with Imran this week. He was a major player for the week. He was, he's doing his best for Kelly. He's working hard. He's getting up at 5:10 in the morning.
Yeah, hard.
He could have spent that £7,000 on any number of things. Exactly.
If anybody gives me an envelope and it says spend this on shoes with £7,000, and I coincidentally happen to be working on a court case where I could use £7,000 for forensic testing on shoes, I still might end up with a lot of Jimmy Choos and no forensic evidence. But I'm just going to say, would have ended up in exactly the same position as Imran was.
I know that Imran could have said something to Abby when Toya was defending him and saying that the trial needs to be over, and he's not making everything easy for everybody else. But yeah,
I think the thing
as the lone wolf in this, I think he deserves me as a supporter.
Yeah, the thing is, you don't always do and say the right thing, and if everybody on Coronation Street said and did the right thing at every point, it'd be boring to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, I'm excited about next week.
I know, I am really excited. I don't know what's going to happen. I just really, really can't stomach the idea that Kelly might get away with being involved.
I know. And I don't know whether we'll are we going to know by this time next week, or is it going to be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
But the thing is, I don't believe the story that Coronation Street is trying to tell me. That's the trouble.
I hope that as long as they don't
lie, and try and twist
change what
it,
happened. Fine,
I can't
fair
have
enough.
that.
Yeah. Right.
That was
I think we're done.
a pretty good week. 3.5, not bad. Some exciting things, some weird things. Everybody's learned now that asthma is caused by cars.
Yeah. Let's move on.
I'll tell you what the problem is. People stop smoking around kids. Now you can only blame cars.